hospital for treatment to his injuries. Gardaí remain at the scene of the collision. The main street is closed and diversions are in place. No further details are known at this time. The Taoiseach is condemning Israel's decision to ban the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, from operating in Israel and the Palestinian territories. It has passed bills designating the UN agency a terror organisation, saying it's been infiltrated by Hamas. The move will effectively ban the relief group from working in Gaza or the West Bank. Micheál Martin has described the move as extraordinary and beyond comprehension.
It is an attack on Palestinians. It's an attack on the UN system, on the multilateral order as we know it. And one has to ask the very simple question, where would this all end? And that the Parliament of a democracy should act in this way, unilaterally cancelling the mandate of the United Nations agency, is something that the international community has to stand up to.
Donegal County Council is to liaise with Transport Infrastructure Ireland with a view towards installing a climbing lane at the Blue Banks on the N56. The issue was raised by Councillor Michael McBride, who told members he believes such a development is necessary. Senior officials replied that a climbing lane was considered during the design phase for the recently completed works on the N56, but the road alignment at this location did not and still does not meet the threshold in the TII road design standards for the provision of a climbing lane. Councillor McBride is asking for that threshold to be explained and reviewed.
My own opinion was from day one that there should always have been a climbing lane at the Blue Banks. There are always a backup of traffic, particularly behind agricultural vehicles and heavy vehicles. That regularly tails back to about 40 cars. And, whenever they get up over the top of the hill, they all have to try and pull out and pass. And I think it actually leads to that road being dangerous. I think the TIA need to review it. The TIA don't get everything right.
Donegal County Council is urging people to stay bright, stay safe and be seen when out on the roads. Whether out for a walk or travelling to work, the council is advising people to wear clothing that combines fluorescent and reflective materials. All pedestrians and cyclists are urged to wear bright clothing or carry a torch, particularly on rural roads. Meanwhile, drivers are advised to always keep dipped headlights on even during daylight hours. The local authority is reminding people that increased visibility can help make the roads safer for everyone. For weather now, mist and fog patches clearing this morning to leave a dry day with limited bright spells. Highest temperatures of 13 to 15 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
How can I help? It's a question I ask my patients every day. It's a question I ask myself. One thing I've learned is that I can help even more when I can easily connect with
physios,
paediatricians, specialists,
nurses,
who are all working with me in a healthcare network that takes a wider view of your health. That's VHI, where healthcare connects. So let me rephrase the question. How can we help?
VHI, because your health means everything.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
A very good morning to you. This is the 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you on the show this morning. We're here until 12 noon, as the name suggests. It's the 29th of October. It's Tuesday. We're 2 days away from the big day. Halloween, of course, is Thursday evening, the 31st. And as the news story said there, let's all have a really enjoyable and safe one this year. The lines are open, of course. You can text or WhatsApp us on 086 60 25,000. Whatever issues are perturbing you or occupying your mind at the moment, let us know. Give us your thoughts on the issues of the day, or indeed the issues you'd like to see put on the agenda and discussed. We're coming up to an election, of course, and that's going to more and more dominate the way we're thinking at the moment. So what are the issues we need to be talking about? There will inevitably be election talk over the course of the programme today. It's inevitable. Every programme now from now until the end of November is going to have some sort of content in it which will be related to elections. That's just the nature of the business. So let us know what you want to see on the agenda. Let us know what you want to see people discussing and raising in the course of their deliberations. You can, of course, call us at 074 91 25,000. Caroline taking your calls and producing this morning. Shannon taking your calls as well, also looking after the social media end of things here on the 9 till Noon Show and beyond. You can email us comments at highlandradio.com. We're on social media, of course. It's at Highland Radio on X. We're We're Highland Hub on Facebook. You can interact, of course, with the show on our Facebook pages. You can watch the show unfold. We'll have some Zoom guests and guests in studios over the course of the programme. You can watch that unfold on your screens as well as listening. We have, of course, the Garda Community Information slot coming up after 10 o'clock, so you can watch that as it unfolds and other elements of the programme as well. You can interact with the programme, as we say, on our Facebook pages, Highland Radio News and Sport. Also, you can watch it on YouTube. It's available on Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube, which you can access, of course, as Greg would say, on your Fire Stick or your smart speaker, or not your smart speaker, on your smartphone or your TV, or whatever form of IT gizmo is your gizmo of choice. Let's look at some of the stories which are in the papers today. Irish Independent this morning, looking inside, and I did reference that the election will be coming up, and there's going to be talk about that, of course, obviously over the course of the programme. But a story on the inside of the Independent this morning: election candidates can now spend 29% more as limits are raised. There's an increase in the thresholds, which Senan Maloney is suggesting could actually favour the larger and richer parties. The impending election will be the most expensive in Irish history by a margin of millions after a quiet inflation-related move by a government minister. The thresholds for spending have been increased by almost 30%. Individual limits have been raised to 38,900 in a 3-seater constituency, 48,600 in a 4-seater, and in a 5-seater like Donegal, each candidate can now spend €58,350. There are also pro rata increases in the level of expenses that may be covered by the state for reimbursement on election spending, and each candidate can now claim up to €11,200 back. Another story inside is Sean O'Farrell, the outgoing Cairn Corla. He's confirmed he will not be seeking to return to the chair of Dáil Éireann. He will be, he says, returning to the backbenches. The Cairn Corla, of course, the only person who is guaranteed to return to the next Dáil. He is automatically returned. He doesn't have to stand for election because he's been in the chair for the past few years. I think his seat is in Kildare. Yeah, Kildare South. So he is the only person automatically returned to the next Dáil. Everybody else from the Taoiseach up has got to seek to take their seat back, or if they're vacating, try and ensure a successor from their own party or perspective. But Sean O'Farrell saying no, he will not be seeking re-election to the chair. The name of Catherine Connolly being suggested as someone who could slit in as the Cairn Corla. Now, she has been an absolutely superb last Cairn Corla. We in the newsroom would be watching a couple of hours Dáil coverage a day on a routine basis, and very often Catherine Connolly as last Cairn Corla will be in the chair, and I have to say she is a superb last Cairn Corla. There's a part of me, I would have to say, if she were to become the Cairn Corla, I think she'd be a huge loss, actually, because Catherine Connolly is one of the most loquacious, intelligent, and I think evocative contributors to Dáil Éireann. She's an absolutely superb contributor to the Dáil. I think she'd be an awful loss, actually, if she were to become the Cairn Corla, because that we would then be denied that voice in the Dáil, and her voice is a really good. She's actually well worth. She routinely gets awards of the Parliamentarian of the Year among political correspondents, and it's absolutely easy to understand why. Also in the Independent this morning, on the front page, indeed, if we just flick back to the front. An interesting story: rate of 0.5% for widow gives hope to mortgage prisoners. And Pepper Finance, which manages mortgages owned by vulture funds, has been forced to give a 55-year-old widow a new 36-year mortgage at an interest rate of just 0.5%. The development is significant, and the paper suggests it offers hope to thousands of mortgage prisoners whose loans were sold to funds. It's a fraction of anything available in the market. Mary Taylor, who was in arrears on her home in Clonmel, Tipperary, will be 91 by the time her new mortgage term ends. There's a full report on that on the inside of the paper. I'm sure it's covered in other papers as well. But that is a very interesting one indeed, that story on today's Irish Independent. Looking at the inside of the Irish Times, deal paves the way for hiring more Kenyan nurses. Now, I was involved in a conversation with some friends at an event yesterday, and we were discussing the difference between nurse recruitment 30 years ago and nurse recruitment now. And there was a situation 30 years ago where it was actually quite difficult to get a full-time job as a staff nurse, and you went on a panel, and there could be a panel of 40 nurses working on a temporary stroke agency basis on call, as it were, hoping to be offered a full-time position at Letterkenny University Hospital, General Hospital, of course, as it was at the time. How the situation has changed right across the health service. Now the Dáil and the Department of Health have put in place measures which will see more nurses brought into Ireland from Kenya. Minister Stephen Donnelly says he's aware the loss of key health personnel could be an issue for less wealthy countries, but the Irish and Kenyan governments, he says, will work on a deal that will be ethical and in line with World Health Organizations and OECD guidelines as well. So we could be seeing more Kenyan nurses in our hospitals in the not too distant future. Also in the Times today, local residents hold vigil in Dundalk for missing schoolboy. The horrific story of Kyron Dernan and what may have happened to him continues to unfold. There have been several searches over the past number of weeks, and still mystery as to what has happened to Kyron. But the sad presumption at this point in time is that he is deceased, and that the search is a search for a body, and a vigil over the weekend in Dundalk. A very sad event indeed. Budget aftermath and state spending. The Times tell us top voter interest in snapshot poll, with potentially less than a fortnight until a general election is called. And in the aftermath of Budget 2025, government spending and the budget are the main topics to capture voter attention. That's a snapshot poll carried out by the Irish Times and Ipsos. And you can read more about that in your Irish Times if you so choose. Interesting story on the inside of the Irish Daily Mail, and it's one that's caught my eye. And full disclosure, let's be upfront about this. I am involved in Letterkenny Musical Society's production in March of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There was mayhem, we're told, as Wonka star Timothy Chalamet crashes his own look-alike contest. The look-alike contest was taking place to find out who looked most like Willy Wonka. But it was happening at Washington Park Square in New York City, and Timothy Chalamet actually arrived at the contest. He's not believed to have entered it, and he made a quick exit, but he just appeared, got recognised, created a big stir, and then disappeared again. I must say, when I first saw this story, I was rather hoping that what we would get would be a repeat of that classic situation that developed many years ago. And we all know, it's if you ever ask anyone, give me one fact about Charlie Chaplin, almost inevitably one of the things that will come up is he once came third in a Charlie Chaplin lookalike competition. Now, mind you, he came third in a Charlie Chaplin lookalike competition at a time when people didn't have a hunk of plastic in their pocket on which they could access pictures of everybody in the whole world at the touch of a button. And, that wouldn't have happened back then, but it's an interesting one. The front page of the Daily Mail, a very sobering story, and we go from the trivial to the very, very serious indeed. 53 children have died on Tusla's watch, and that's just in the past 3 years as pressure mounts for the state agency to appear before an Oireachtas committee. And Kyron Dernan, we referenced him on an earlier story. Again, he's just one of 53 children to have died while on the radar of the state's Child and Family Agency, Tusla, in the past 3 years. And pressure is mounting on Minister Roderick O'Gorman and Tusla to appear before an Oireachtas committee to be grilled on the safety and protection of those who come under the agency's remit. That story on the Irish Daily Mail. Also there, outrage at TV station comparing Trump rally to 1939 Nazi event. And one of the most awful things about this election campaign in the States at the moment is the extent to which everything is now polarised. I mean, if you look at our election campaigns, there'll be genuine debates in which people will take differing points and they'll have differing political perspectives and they'll argue their point from a left-leaning or a right-leaning point of view or a centrist point of view or whatever. But we don't have this situation here where you're either so far to the left you're in Cork or so far to the right you're in wherever. You know, it seems to be just in the States awful. So depending now on whether the media you consume is blue or red, Trump did hold a rally in Madison Square Garden over the weekend. Now, it would appear that some of the comments made and some of the themes raised, particularly in terms of Puerto Ricans, were rather distressing. And if you're leaning toward blue, it was an absolute terrible atrocity. If you're leaning toward red, it was a magnificent statement of how America is going to be great again. And the problem appears to be that middle completely disappearing, which is a very sad thing to see. But, Yeah, that rally took place. Well, I presume it's the Madison Square Garden rally it's referring to. I'm making that presumption. Let's go to the tabloids. Irish Daily Mirror this morning. OAP's motorway trip in his wheelchair goes viral online. This is the moment a pensioner was spotted cruising the wrong way down a busy motorway in a wheelchair. Footage shared on Sunday shows the elderly man moving along the central reservation of the N7 at Newlands Cross on the outskirts of Dublin. Now, immediately, the pedant in me, now I would know that road fairly well actually, because that's when you come off the M50 driving from the northwest down to Waterford. You get M1, M50, N7, get off of the Red Cow off the M50, N7, straight down M7, M9, and then you're in Waterford. So I know that road quite well. And the spot they're referring to, okay, let's be pedantic, it's not a motorway. It is what we would have called in the past the Nace Dual Carriageway. And it's still a very, very busy road. And how you actually get into that central reservation on a wheelchair, I have no idea. But it's a scary, scary picture if you look at it. And that is a scary, scary road. I mean, I do know that road. As I say, I would travel it quite often. I'll be on it next weekend as it happens. And, I would not like to be doing anything even vaguely dangerous on that road. Interesting one too, if you're a soccer fan. Everyone knows, of course, that Eric Ten Hag, the Man United manager, got the boot yesterday. Keen the man for United fans. Now, maybe is this wishful thinking on the part of a Mirror journalist? I don't know, because I've not seen Roy Keane's name crop up anywhere else. There's other names being mentioned right, left and centre. I've not heard Keane's name, but apparently Man United fans are calling for Roy Keane to replace Eric Ten Hag following his sacking yesterday. Sunday's 2-1 loss to West Ham was the Red Devils' fourth Premier League defeat of the season, and they've won only one of their last 8 games in all competitions. And they're saying there is speculation that Roy Keane is going to get the job. It's the only place I've seen that speculation. Perhaps that speculation is elsewhere. I don't know. Actually, funnily enough, on the other 2 tabloids, the Sun and the Star, Ten Hag is the main story. Looking at the Irish Sun this morning, Ten Hag flies off with €18 million, and the Man United gilet he won for his last game. Apparently, Ten Hag got the sack yesterday morning at around about... he was told around about 9 or so. It was announced around about 10 minutes to midday, and by all accounts, Eric Ten Hag was on a private jet flying back to Holland by about 2:10 with around about €18 million as a payoff in his pocket as a result. They're now looking at the odds as to who's going to be the new United manager. 6-1 on is Ruben Amorim, who's the Sporting Lisbon manager. 6-1 is interim boss Ruud van Nistelrooy. Gareth Southgate, formerly of England, 10-1. Xavi, formerly of Barcelona, 14-1. Now the interesting one, and the person I thought might have been offered the gig, is Thomas Frank of Brentford. Now he's on 12-1. I thought he'd have been actually, his odds would have been shorter than 12-1. But I know very little about these things, and I'm sure the Ruben Amorim at 6-1 on is not someone taking a guess. That's based very much on information that somebody has from sources very close. Final look at the Irish Daily Star this morning. One that caught my eye. Sometimes film reboots can be disasters. Sometimes they can really work. The Naked Gun is getting a reboot. Now, we know that Leslie Nielsen was absolutely fantastic in The Naked Gun and the follow-ups, 2.5 and 3 1/3. And he was really, really good. And if you're going to replace Leslie Nielsen as a Frank Drebin in the Naked Gun, you got to do it with someone special. And the new Naked Gun apparently is all based on the exploits of Frank Drebin's son, Frank Jr., and Frank Drebin Jr. is being played by Liam Neeson. Now, Neeson has mastered, to my mind, the idea of playing a comedic straight man with an absolutely straight face, completely straight-laced, straight down the middle, and he's absolutely hilarious. If ever you watch the Extras programme with Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, Liam Neeson does a piece in that with Gervais where Liam Neeson goes in and talks about how he wants to do stand-up comedy. And he is as straight as a die. There is not a flicker of expression on Neeson's face. And the straighter he is, the funnier it gets. It's an absolutely brilliant piece of TV. So if you want to see what Liam Neeson's chops are as a straight guy, just watch that clip of Extras with Ricky. It's all over YouTube. You'll find it anywhere. It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. As we say, you can text or call us 086 60 25,000. Or text or WhatsApp us, Call us on 074 91 25,000. Comments at highlandradio.com for your emails, and we're on social media as well. It's the 9 till noon show. It's 9:20. Back in a moment.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Call of the Wild, Donegal's newest outdoor store, is now open on Main Street, Letterkenny, with the best quality winter jackets, footwear and everything else you'll need to get outdoors, whatever the weather. Also a great place to find the perfect Christmas gift. Shop now and you could win back the cost of your purchase. Call of the Wild on Main Street, Letterkenny, also in Sligo and Westport. See callofthewild.ie.
iMotors are now carrying the largest range of pre-owned cars in the Northwest.
Don't settle for just any car. Choose the one that suits your style and budget.
Visit imotors.ie to explore our extensive range with 20 plus brands to choose from and find your next car today.
Or call into our showroom in Letterkenny or Malin.
iMotors, fearless generation. You are the heart of your farm. Your fields, your livestock, your family all depend on you. But to take care of them, you need to take care of yourself. Free health checks are coming to marts and events near you, making it easy to look after your health. Prioritise your health today. Visit ifa.ie/health check for more details. Because you are the heart of your farm. This is an IFA initiative supported by CRE and funded by the Department of Agriculture.
At Screwfix, you can click and collect over 10,000 trade products in as little as 1 minute. So whether it's a power drill in Portlaoise or guttering in Galway, when you need it yesterday, just click at screwfix.ie and collect at your local store 7 days a week. T's and C's apply. Visit screwfix.ie for full details.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
22 minutes past 9. You're listening to the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. You'll be aware that over the years, Japanese knotweed and giant hogweed and giant rhubarb have been issues in many parts of Donegal, and Donegal County Council issued advice in the past to people to look, don't touch it, we're looking at it, we're trying to get a county-wide strategy for dealing with this particular problem. However, one local councillor believes that not enough is being done to deal with the problem, and it's becoming a huge issue. Councillor Michael McLafferty, good morning.
Morning, Donal. Morning, listeners.
Michael, talk to us about knotweed here.
With knotweed, Donal, as you know, there, it's a very invasive plant as such, and sadly, the thing about it is, if it is, wherever it may be, in a field along the road, so on, etc., it needs to be treated, needs to be sprayed in the first instance. Now, the difficulty the council have, they do spray what they can along the roads, but then the other situation is then if they're spraying along the road and it extends into private land, then they can't go into the private land to extend it to spray it and whatever's put in the field as such. So that's a problem that way. But I believe a policy change needs to happen here for the likes of the Japanese knotweed, the giant rhubarb, the giant hogweed, etc. That if wherever the council may come on it or who along the road or such, and if it's in your field, that they need to have the authority to get into the field as well and spray the field, because I believe there's no point spraying along the road if you're not catching what's in the field as well. Also, there's danger as well here, Donal, as well, on the knotweed for the minute. For example, if that's growing along fields along rivers and that then as well, which it is in places, the seeds or whatever, then two things will happen. The seeds can blow away, seeds can be carried away by birds, etc. Seeds can get washed down the river. If they get washed down the river, it can travel God knows kilometres on end. Alongside that, it can get stuck down on the sides of the riverbeds, or the river bank, and we've a real mess then altogether of getting it treated in because of the water and everything else. I understand when that happens then you're looking at the possibilities then of possibly injecting it, something I'm not familiar with, but apparently that's how you do it. And also another thing I'm not familiar with as well, but I've heard about it or learned about it, just not fully sure how it's implemented, but there's some way of electrocuting it as well as such. Yeah. I don't know what way that's carried out. I presume that's possibly not possible when there's water beside you, but otherwise that is a form of dealing with as well. Although I'm not familiar with the working job, but I've been told about that.
From the point of view of landowners, Michael, I can fully understand if I were a landowner and I wanted to plant, be it crops or whatever on my land, or if I were a private landowner, I wanted to plant flowers or whatever, I'd be very loath to say to the council, yes, come in and spray something on my land, unless I knew exactly what they were spraying, where they were putting it, and if it was going to have any impact on present or future planting that I'd be doing.
Oh yes, 100%. Of course, that's the way it would be. But I suppose, like, going forward, the way it would need to be, like, all this would have to be trashed out properly. If it's on your land, the council and obviously notify you that it's on your land. Hence, when they be spraying along the road and so on, they'll see it. And obviously, it stretches from the road down into your field. They'll have to say to you. So I suppose that there's an onus as well, and the landowner as well, to be responsible as well. If they genuinely know what's on their field or on their land, or up their lane, or whatever the case may be, to treat it as well, to get it sprayed or whatever needs to be done as well with it, to save it from going onto the neighbour's land or neighbouring streams or anything else. And also the Japanese knotweed as well, Donal, that gets into concrete or gets into tar macadam. It can wreak havoc with your concrete and your tar macadam obviously in your streets, your concrete that could be in your street as well, and your house gets into seams in your cracks in your house. So that can play havoc as well, I've been told. It can actually just grow out and bust things. And before you know it, then you have the problem is there then before you realise it. As one person pointed out there some time ago, they had Japanese knotweed growing beside them, and they were panicking. They were selling their house at the time, and they were afraid it was going to devalue the price of their house. So now they managed to get negotiations done, and they got the whole area that the knotweed is unsprayed. It didn't belong to it didn't belong to them, but it's adjacent to them. So they managed to get it sprayed. So that cleared that end of it up.
Now, we know in the past, the council's advice in the past, as I recall it, the council's advice was do nothing, don't touch it, and we're coming up with a strategy and we're going to deal with it. Is it time for the council to revisit that and, if necessary, put out a revised message that says to people, look, if you have Japanese knotweed, you can spray it with whatever, and you can use this or this treatment to deal with the Japanese knotweed, because I know they were concerned that people might use the wrong weed killers, people might use the wrong mixtures, and if so, they could exacerbate rather than resolve the problem. So is it time for the council to change its advice to give more autonomy to people to deal with it as they see it?
Yeah, it needs to be revisited. Something I'm going to bring up again, Donal, there with the council, that we do need to revisit it again properly. That we do need to revisit it properly and get the word out there again, get a proper strategy in place, because I believe if we don't, things are getting well out of hand here at the minute again with Japanese knotweed, giant rhubarb and placers, and also the giant hogweed, which in its own brings its own difficulties. That can actually burn you, such and scare you as well. You need medical treatment with that as such. The giant hogweed, that's a huge big. It is what it is. Just a giant big plant that speaks for itself.
Yeah. And finally, Michael, we know, as I said, if I recall correctly, it was in around about 6-7 years ago, there was a real focus on this from the point of view of Donegal County Council, and they were getting very concerned at the level, particularly of Japanese knotweed, that was being seen in the county. Now, 7 years on from that, from your observation and from your knowledge of being on council, is that still a major issue? Has it been partially resolved? Is it as serious as it was? Is it a little less serious than it was? Have we made any impact or dent on what at the time was being characterised as a Japanese knotweed invasion?
Yeah, I would say there's a dent has been put on it, all right, Donal, in fairness and credit to the council, a dent has been, but the dent needs to be put further now on where it's in private land as such. I think that's the need, I suppose, if you like, the flag needs to be carried the whole way as such, totally this time. I believe a dent has been put on it, and most of the roadways and that were possible in public ownership, but on private stuff it's appearing, and that's where the dent needs to be put finally into that.
Yeah.
Alongside the giant hogweed, wherever it may be, and the giant rhubarb as well, obviously.
Yeah, Councillor Michael McCloverty, listen, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. It's one that's it's always interesting to hear about how dents are being made and how more needs to be done, though. So obviously you'll be raising this at council level. I'm sure people on council are on top of this, and they'll be able to share what perspectives they have as well. If anybody out there has any other perspectives on this, and I suppose the advice really would be to people: look, if you don't know what you're doing at the moment, don't do anything. Seek advice and make sure that whatever you're doing is the right thing to do, because the one thing you don't want to do is use the wrong materials, take the wrong strategy, and actually make the problem worse. But Michael, for the moment, listen, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Donal. Much appreciated. Take care. Thank you.
You too, Michael. Take care.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Nutria's Super Beef Gold ATP is now on promotion. Buy 10 bags, get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. Nutria's Super Beef Gold ATP delivers frame and thrive in all ages of cattle. Contact your local Homeland store or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrias.ie for full product details.
We're celebrating 125 years of Opel. And with a milestone like that, what better time to explore Opel's extensive award-winning range? Plus, if you order your 251 Opel now, we'll gift you with a €500 Dunn Stores gift card. Other than that, we've not much else to talk about. In fact, the percentage of time we're going to talk about finance offers, that would be 0%. Happy buy day to you. Find out more about our 251 offers at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details. T's and C's apply.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, supporting you with the right footwear. Hoka Trainers. Have you tried the Hoka Sensation yet? Hoka provides comfort, support and shock absorption, which makes them a good choice for frequent runners and walkers, or anyone whose job requires standing for the majority of the day. For support or pronation, try the Arari 6. For maximum cushioning, try Hoka Bondi 8. Check in store or shop online at bmcsports.ie. Step into our safe-sized experience at Brian McCormick Sports.
Big sale now on at Better Value Furnishings Moville. Discover Donegal's best deals on stylish dining sets, quality sofas and comfortable beds and mattresses. Transform your home without breaking the bank for an incredible discount. Unbeatable value in our big sale now on at Better Value Furnishings Main Street, Moville. Open all bank holiday weekend. See our Facebook page for more details.
After a lengthy search for the best new Irish talent on independent radio stations across the country, Irish Music Month has uncovered a new local hero. Here are the 6 shortlisted acts: Callum Agnew, Asophonics, Bobby Arlo, Mia Black, Jessica Brett and Projective. All live from the recent showcase event at Dublin's Academy, here on Highland Radio this Wednesday 29th of October from 7:30pm. For the full story, see irishmusicmonth.ie. Irish Music Month. It is Irish radio supporting Irish artists in association with IBI, Hot Press and Commission Demands Sound and Vision Scheme, funded by the television licence fee.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Donal Kavanagh with you on the show this morning. Now, the downgraded homeowners group is lodging a formal complaint with regards to the defective concrete block scheme. The scheme is based on the IS 465 standard that is, it's believed, deeply flawed and is being labelled not fit for purpose by highly respected professionals, raises serious questions relative to the situation. Now, we know that there's a long-standing political belief, particularly here in Donegal, that at the moment the policy at department level is not following the science and that decisions are being made to downgrade homes based on information that does not take everything into account, in particular does not take into account the importance of sulphate attack and corrosive defects such as pyrite. Joined on the line by Marty McElhenney, who is spokesperson for the Donegal Downgraded Homeowners Group. Marty, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us this morning.
It's always our pleasure, Marty. Marty, we know that this has been, and this programme, the news in the Dáil indeed, on several occasions over the past number of months, the issue of downgrading has been discussed. And it always comes down to the same basic claim. And if we were to sum up that claim in 5 words, that claim would be the government isn't following the science.
Absolutely, yeah. And the government have directed the housing agency to look at the cause of the deterioration of our homes. They are saying in the ministerial guidelines that the housing agency will, in their analysis and deliberation, take into consideration the presence of pyrite. This is really important because we have a group of 70 downgraded homeowners. Every single one of us have pyrite in the blocks of our home. And every single downgrade decision has been based on the now disproven hypothesis that it's mica and freeze-thaw causing the deterioration of our home. This has been completely ignored. Pyrite has not been considered, and our big problem is that the remediation of dwellings damaged by the use of Defective Concrete Blocks Act 2022, it directs that the ministerial guidelines are adhered to. We want to know why pyrite has not been considered in our downgrade decisions, why the true cause of the deterioration of our homes have been ignored. And we have emailed numerous complaints, and we continue to do so over the next few days, to the Programme Manager of the Defective Concrete Block Scheme, CCing on all relevant parties, including Minister Darragh O'Brien, asking who has been responsible for this? Why has it been allowed to continue? We have been shouting about this for so long now. Every single downgrade decision is wrong because the cause has been put down to the now disproven mica freeze-thaw and pyrite. The true cause, internal sulphate attack, is at play in the blocks of our home, and that is pyrite is causing it, and we are livid that no one is listening to us, and we want this looked into.
Now, we know, as I say, it's been raised on the floor of the Dáil on several occasions by several TDs in Donegal and indeed beyond as well. We also know that it's been raised by people like Paul Dunlop, and there have been papers published and there have been conferences held, and we've spoken to Paul Dunlop and others, academics that he's worked with as well, and particularly the most recent report, which is damning in terms of the impact and effects of pyrite, and also on the issue of foundations, which I know is also one that people are very concerned about because at present they're not taken into account when decisions are being made. And one of the problems with this appears to be that effectively engineers are being pitted against engineers, because if you're an engineer who's working for the housing agency, you're working off a different standard and you're working off a different priority and protocol to an engineer that might be hired by a homeowner. And if one contradicts the other, the worry at the moment is that the contradiction is going to come to the detriment of the homeowners and to the detriment of their homes.
Absolutely. The engineers who are downgrading our homes are basing their decisions on the not fit for purpose, as you stated, IS 465. They are adhering strictly to IS 465. So IS 465 itself doesn't consider pyrite, but that's no excuse, Donal, because they're engineers. You know, they must take into account all relevant standards. They have to keep up to date with the latest scientific and technological advances. That's not happening. That is no excuse. You cannot blame just the flawed IS 465 for this. They were directed to consider pyrite. Internal sulphate attack due to the presence of pyrite has been proven without a doubt to be the cause of the deterioration of Donegal homes. There's no excuse for ignoring this, and we're livid about it, and we feel hopeless, and we need this looked into, and we want this investigated. And we just want to air and shout to anybody who listens, every single decision is wrong.
You're lodging a formal complaint. Who are you lodging that complaint with, and what do you hope is going to happen with it in the short to medium term?
The complaint itself is going to Mr. Pader Espy. He's the Programme Manager for the Defective Concrete Block Scheme. We have emailed and then, we have CC'd and then obviously Minister Darragh O'Brien. It's his ministerial guidelines for the scheme that are being ignored. We have emailed, we've CC'd on Damien Owens. He is the Director General of Engineers Ireland, because we want to make it very clear to him that we did do a protest a couple of months ago. It was a successful protest, but we want it so clear to him these engineers are acting they're just acting in very poor faith towards us, and we want him to know that pyrite was not considered as well. We're also CCing and then any relevant bodies that we think might look into this complaint for us, and we are hopeful that this will be investigated and proper recourse is given to us. And we know a lot of us have been on this merry-go-round now for years. Some people have been looking into this issue for over 4 years. We're done with it. You know, our families, we have to be able to move on. These decisions are all based on a discounted hypothesis. We need to be able to move on. The decisions need rescinded, and the original recommendations of the IS 465 registered engineers that we were obliged to engage at significant cost, they need reinstated.
Is there a provision within the wording of the scheme and the Act governing the scheme that allows for a complaint to be considered in a formal way and to be expedited in the way it's considered? As far as you're aware, what now happens the complaint in terms of how it's dealt with? Is there a formula there that will allow it be dealt with speedily?
No, we would actually like a wee bit more clarity on this. We've also CC'd in the Ombudsman as well, because we want to see where this is going to go, and we don't want it to be ignored when we have been shouting about it. So for such a long time now, for months we've been shouting about this. So we will follow the complaint as best as we can to get it highlighted, but we just need somebody to speak to us. We need somebody to look into these and investigate what we're saying. What we're saying, we know is the truth.
We know the Coleman legal class action is going ahead, and we're watching obviously carefully what's happening in the legal system with that particular action. Do you hope that maybe that class action may provide some opening as well for this to be considered, given that this issue is an issue that's going to be affecting, I'm sure, many of the people that are listed in that action too?
Yeah, well, one of the downgraded homeowners, an admin for the downgraded homeowners group, has had correspondence with Coleman Legal, and they are very, very interested in speaking with and dealing with the downgraded homeowners. They want any information sent to them. They are watching this very closely, and we're delighted to hear that, because somebody is listening to us, and it is Coleman Legal. We are saying something has gone majorly wrong here. So they are taking an interest in it. And anybody who's not part of our downgraded Facebook group, I'd like to just tell you that if you are a downgraded homeowner, to keep in touch with Coleman Legal.
Finally, Marty, in terms of the issue, and as I say, we have discussed it so often, it's been discussed in the Dáil. It isn't that Dara O'Brien or that Simon Harris or that Micheál Martin aren't aware of it. They are aware of it. They've been told it on numerous occasions by numerous TDs on the floor of the Dáil and elsewhere. I mean, I don't think there can be anyone in Dáil Éireann who hasn't heard of this downgrading issue and hasn't heard the phrase IS 465 over and over and over again. Politically, it doesn't seem to be landing. It would appear at this point that maybe, from your point of view, legal is the way to go.
Yeah, we know that they were legally, it was statutory. They should have adhered to this. They should have considered pyrrhotite, and they did not. We know this is the cause of deterioration of our homes. We've been shouting about this. We have been shouting about this for months. I myself personally have emailed Minister O'Brien. I got a completely inadequate response. My own case, there's clear signs of internal sulphate attack at play in the rising walls of my home, and the housing agency want me to rebuild on these load-bearing walls. They'll crumble and deteriorate, so we can't stop shouting about this. And we're fully prepared to highlight this in whatever way we can. We need this looked at. What's happened here is wrong. These decisions need to be rescinded, and we need to be able to move on with our lives.
And of course, the other issue is, I'm sure for yourself and for many people affected by this, what they want is a home that they can raise a family in, a home that they can grow old in, and a home that's going to be their home for the rest of their lives. In other cases, people may want to sell that house down the line. People may want to move on. People may want, for whatever reason, to put that house on the market. The worry is going to be that if the level of remediation and if the level of work done now is not sufficient, that 10, 15, 20 years down the line, if they want to sell that house, they're going to have a whole raft of other problems, and this is going to come back to bite them.
Absolutely, Donal. The homeowners have done nothing wrong here. We bought and built houses in good faith. What's happened is because there has been a complete lack of regulation and standards enforced in the concrete industry, and this is coming from government. We have done nothing wrong. We should be able to move on. I have a young family. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. I want my home rebuilt. I want a safe family home for them to grow up in, and I want, I deserve that. I didn't do anything wrong. This is what is happening. We're left in a horrific situation. You should not treat people like this, and to allow it to continue when we know it is so flawed and there is huge legal questions. We need somebody to stand up. We need something to be done here, and this is what these numerous complaints are about.
Marty McElhinney will be continually watching this one with interest. I have no doubt it'll be raised sooner rather than later on the floor of the Dáil. We could be into the final days of the current Dáil. It'll likely be dissolved when it meets next week, and a new government and a new Dáil will come in the coming months, and I'm sure it's going to be back on the floor there. But in the meantime, you're hoping for some answers, and maybe this will be a route to getting them. In the meantime, Marty, keep in touch, but for now, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Donal. Bye-bye.
That's Marty McElhinney, their spokesperson for the downgraded homeowners group. And as she said, they are active on Facebook. If you're affected by this, maybe go and get involved in that Facebook discussion. And Coleman Legal taking an interest in this, we're told as well. So that might be one to bear in mind as well. Let's just look at an issue that was raised on the show last week. a message that had come in from a number of parents of children attending Abbey Vocational School in Donegal Town, expressing concern about the cleanliness and unhygienic state of toilets at the school, saying the majority of toilets are actually blocked, filled to the rim with tissue and other products. Some male toilet smeared with waste, with liquid and urine on the toilets and the floors. Female toilets the same. The smell is horrific. A number of people's children are holding on until they get home. They then rush to the toilet at home as soon as they get in the door. Other children doing the same. A lot of children run down to a local supermarket at break time and lunchtime to use the toilet facilities there. At one point, they were at an event in the school. A young child had to go to the toilet. They brought the child to the toilet, but literally couldn't use it. We obviously passed those comments on to the Donegal ATB, and we've had a response from Donegal ATB. Just to read that response for you now. The Abbey Vocational School has almost 1,000 students and over 100 staff. It's a large, thriving and busy school. Caretaking and cleaning staff work very hard every day to keep the building clean and tidy for all. The school has a very large footprint due to its growth and development over recent years. That growth is positive and welcome, but with rapid growth also comes attendant challenges to the school as it strives to provide the best possible education to the whole community of Donegal Town. Donegal ATB, under whose aegis the school operates, is acutely aware of the challenges schools face in relation to the appropriate levels of cleaning resources, and to that end is in regular contact with the Department of Education to seek an improvement to the current allocation. The school continues to liaise closely with the ETB in relation to this matter and looks to address all matters of concern as soon as possible. That's the statement, as I say, that we've had from the Abbey Vocational School in Donegal Town. A caller says, I recently had a birthday party in a bar and restaurant. We had a big cake, so I offered some of the cake to the staff. I was shocked when I came home and there was only a fifth of the cake left. Not that big a deal, it's only cake, but it only shows give an inch and take a mile. Now, we are going to go to Zoom, where we are joined by Minister Alan Dillon. And Minister Dillon is the Minister of State with responsibility for local government and planning. And he's with us this morning to discuss the fact that pensioners and carers in Donegal are set to benefit from the October bonus payment. And we'll go to Zoom now and say, Minister Alan Dillon, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Minister, these bonuses that are coming in, being paid in the coming weeks, strategically placed following Budget 2025, important for those in receipt of those benefits?
Really important. And I think today, 4 weeks ago, the government delivered its fifth and final budget. And part of that represented one of the largest social protection budgets in the history of the state. And it comprised of a blend of lump sum payments, but also increases in core payment and a range of targeted supports designed to ensure that we ease the financial pressures on many households who are facing considerable cost inflation. And we know that the cost of living is still a real issue for many people. And that's why this budget, in this budget, we took the necessary decisions to help families, pensioners, carers, and also people with disabilities. So from today, we will see payments now being issued across many measures, with a double weekly payment for older people, those in receipt of a pension, a double payment for carers and people with disability. And that will benefit up to 1.4 million people this week. And we will also see a number of similar measures now being rolled out in the weeks and months ahead, including a double child payment. And again, throughout the month of November, further supports will be rolled out. There will be a €400 disability support grant provided to people with disabilities. There will also be a €400 relief payment for those who are in receipt of the working family payment. And up to €200 payment will also go to nearly 250,000 individuals in receipt of the living alone allowance. So a number of measures, and again, I think Minister Heather Humphreys has rolled out the dates that people will expect these payments to be lodged into their bank accounts. I know in the West and Northwest, an issue that always comes up is the fuel allowance. And that will see an additional lump sum of €300 paid out to 387,000 households. And that will be very, very valuable as we enter into the colder months. where heating costs will be will see a sharp incline. So government has also expanded the fuel allowance scheme as well, which will make many householders in Donegal or Mayo, Sligo, those who need it most, receive assistance.
In terms of the payments, which are in terms of the double payments, one of the comments made over the weekend by the St Vincent de Paul Society was that in many cases it'll bring some temporary relief to those under pressure as a result of the cost of living allowance and as a result of the situation they find themselves in. But the reality is it's a sticking plaster over a wound that'll be there for 1 week and then it'll be gone again. They're saying what really should be done is a more targeted, limited situation where those really in need get these double payments for an extended period of time to really give them the chance to break out of the situation they're in. Would the government not be better off targeting to those really in need rather than giving payments across the board in many cases?
Well, certainly this government tried to strike the balance, and as I said earlier, there is a blended approach, one that can ensure that we can be financially prudent, but also targeted at those who need it most. And look, any future cost of living payments will be a matter for the next government, and I respect what St Vincent de Paul do and their commentary, but I have to say the feedback on the ground, from my perspective and from the people that I've spoke to, the extra payments leading up to Christmas will make a significant difference. I know from talking to my constituents here in Mayo, the double child family or the double child benefit payment has been particularly popular for families, and that's why we're making 2 of these payments this year. And also in regards to the disability support grant, that's recognising those who need it most with disabilities and the challenges that they face. So while we certainly acknowledge the feedback, we can't predict the situations which people will face into during the next term and what the cost of living challenges will be. But certainly this government has done a good job in driving inflation down to 2%. You know, we had record inflation during this term of government, and we have implemented cost of living supports consecutively over many budgets.
But the problem there, of course, is that the price increases, inflation may be going down, but the price increases that came into effect when inflation was at 9-10%, those prices haven't gone down. Those prices have stayed the same. So the baseline inflation figure is down, but the high prices that kicked in at the height of inflation are still there.
Well, and again, we see the introduction of 2 energy credits here worth, you know, up to €250 that will be released before Christmas. So we are conscious that, to your point, that, you know, the cost of electricity and oil and gas still hasn't decreased to the level that we would wish, and we are extending many other supports around renters tax credit. That has been increased to €1,000. We free public transport for children now under 9. So a number of measures will kick in, and core payments, the pension has been increased by up to €12 as well, and that's across the board on all social welfare payments.
In terms of things like the fuel allowance, would the government maybe not have been better off putting more focus on keeping the excise duties on fuel down? We know, for instance, that a series of 3-phased whether you want to call them excise increases or excise returns to what the rate previously was, but we know 3 times this year that the rate's gone up over the course of I think it was earlier in the summer, then it was August, and then it was October when the actual price of fuel and petrol etc. went up because excise duties were being restored to previous levels. Would that maybe have been a better way that the government should be looking at taxation to keep those down right across the board?
Well, we're always looking at it in the round, and you know, there was a reduction in excise during the real hard inflationary phase, and the government has put it back into its normal rates. But again, coming from a rural constituency, I know the challenges that are faced by motorists, and we are constantly reviewing that. And you know, I think we understand that a lot of people in the west and northwest are dependent on their cars, and yes, it is an issue. We're trying to increase the reliance or trying to incentivize people to actually use public transport, but understand that people are in the west of Ireland and northwest do require their car. But I think government had decisions to make. I think they felt that these were the appropriate ones at the time. And as I said earlier, it'll be for the next government to decide what changes they look to implement in further budgets into the future.
A caller is asking, do people living alone get double pension as well as living alone payment?
That's correct. Yeah.
They do. Minister, we know that an election is imminent. We know it's coming before the end of the year. The general consensus would appear to be that the Dáil will be dissolved next week and that we will go to the polls on November 29th. There's no question, but these increases and these payments are timed nicely on the lead into an election. Is that cynical on the part of the government? And do you think people will treat it as such?
Absolutely not. I think this government has been consistent in terms of its commitment to support those who need it most, and our track record has been one of prioritisation to insulate those on the lowest earning incomes from households who are worst affected from price increases. And I think we would be criticised if we didn't deliver these cost of living measures. And I think the budget builds on the foundation and that we have previously set. And in one sense, it leaves no one behind. And many of the important measures that have been announced in budget will hit people's pockets in the run up to Christmas, I think, or the winter months. And I think it's really important that we do make a real difference in people's lives, particularly for many families. And I think that's why these payments are coming on stream this week. They'll be very, very much needed by many families. And yes, we'll have an election, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. And I think every party is in preparation mode. And I think, the opposition are the only, if opposition can only speak to, the delivery of these payments at this junction, it's probably, they feel that, this government has, struck the balance correctly in how we actually manage the budget. And as I said earlier, this is one of the largest social welfare packages in the history of the state, and it's been put to good use because people, use their hard-earned taxes, and now we're making sure that these taxes are being put to good use.
Minister Alan Dillon, thank you very much indeed. Time has beaten us. Thank you, and we wish you all the best in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Donal.
Tinny's Toys, your local toy store. Christmas Club is now open. Everything for newborn right up to model collectors. Leck Road, Letterkenny. Or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Did you know that we even give 5% cash back on all purchases when you sign up to our loyalty program? Tinny's Toys, much more than just farm toys. Leck Road, Letterkenny. Or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Terms and conditions apply.
From family road trips to weekend getaways, start your adventures with a new Ford in 2025. The Ford 251 sales event runs from the 1st to the 16th of November. We have incredible savings across our range, with up to €4,000 off the new Kuga plug-in hybrid, plus more savings on the new Puma and the new all-electric Explorer. Ford Options PCP customers also have 0 reasons to miss this event. Discover all our 251 offers at Ford.ie. T's and C's apply. Offer ends November 16th.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. If you haven't started using the McElhinney's Layaway Club, it's not too late. Spread the cost of Christmas with designer gifts for the whole family. Available by phone or in store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
Mist and fog patches gradually clearing through the morning, leaving a dry day for many limited bright spells. Patchy rain moving in through the late afternoon and evening. Top temperatures 13 to 15 degrees Celsius. Light westerly or variable breezes. It'll be mostly dry tonight with clear spells, especially in the southeast. Some rain and drizzle as well. Lowest overnight temperatures 9 to 11. Tomorrow Wednesday largely dry but cloudy. A little light rain and drizzle possible in top temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees Celsius. It's the 9 till noon show. News and obituaries with Michaela coming up.
Today's show is brought to you by Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow. Book your Christmas party today. Christmas lunches and dinners available throughout December in our cosy bar and bistro with live music on selected nights. Add an overnight stay for €45 per person sharing. Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow, the place to be.
Don't miss Academy Award winner Cillian Murphy in what critics are calling his finest performance yet.
She asked me to get her out.
And what did you say?
That it wasn't up to me.
Based on the best-selling novel by Claire Keegan.
Do you ever get worried?
People can make things difficult for you. Cillian Murphy's performance could move mountains, says The Telegraph.
What if it was one of ours?
They're not our girls. An extraordinary performance, says The Times.
Don't you ever question it?
5 stars, says the Irish Independent. Small things like these in cinemas November 1st.
There's something spooky going on at National Trust Northern Ireland. Sink your teeth into devilish streets and enchanting music at Llewellyn's Monster Market. Creep down to Castle Ward for a bewitching bazaar. Folklore lives in the misty woodlands of Mount Stewart. Feast on wickedly good food, crafts and entertainment at Florence Court's Festival of Colour. Spooky stories at Spring Hill. Face your fears at Carrick-a-Reed and join Finn McCool's Frightful Fun Fest at the Giant's Causeway. Search National Trust NI.
Looking for fresh, local, convenient shopping? Mabel Stores have you covered across Donegal. From Burtonport to Ballyliffin, Carrigart to Castlefin, your local store is always nearby. Proudly Donegal owned, we're also in Moville, Milford, Derrybeg and Falcarra. From apples to AdBlue, we have everything you need whenever you need it, whilst proudly supporting local suppliers. Check out your local Maple store on Facebook for weekly offers and promotions. Oh, and we also sell fuel too. Maple Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
The Highland Radio Christmas Concert Countdown is on. Join us for our star-studded show on Monday the 9th of December in the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, featuring Mike Denver and his band, John McNichol, Jim Devine, Owen Mack, Donna Taggart and our very own David James. Kick off the holiday season the Highland Radio way on what promises to be a fantastic night. Tickets are just €27.50 each with a package deal available including dinner, bed and breakfast and entry to the show. For more details log on to The Outlet at highlandradio.com or call us today on 074 91 25000.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. Main Street in Mount Charlotte remains closed this morning following an overnight crash. A pedestrian was seriously injured at around 4:30 on Main Street. He has been taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for treatment to his injuries. Gardaí remain at the scene of the collision. Diversions are in place. No further details are known at this time. Downgraded defective concrete block homeowners are to lodge a formal complaint with the housing agency. Over 100 families in Donegal have been left outraged after they had their remediation option downgraded. Homeowners are now demanding a thorough investigation into the decision to go against original recommendations made to demolish and rebuild properties. The move has been labelled negligent, unethical and unscientific. Marty McElhinney, spokesperson for the downgraded homeowners group, says it's clear over and over again that the government is not adhering to science.
The government have directed the housing agency to look at the cause of the deterioration of our homes. They are saying in the ministerial guidelines that the housing agency will in their analysis and deliberation take into consideration the presence of pyrite. This is really important because we have a group of 70 downgraded homeowners. Every single one of us have pyrite in the blocks of our home. And every single downgrade decision has been based on the now disproven hypothesis that it's mica and free thaw causing the deterioration of our home.
The Taoiseach is condemning Israel's decision to ban the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, from operating in Israel and the Palestinian territories. It has passed bills designating the UN Agency a terror organisation, saying it's been infiltrated by Hamas. The move will effectively ban the relief group from working in Gaza or the West Bank. Micheál Martin has described the move as extraordinary and beyond comprehension.
It is an attack on Palestinians. It's an attack on the UN system, on the multilateral order as we know it. And one has to ask the very simple question, where would this all end? And that the Parliament of a democracy should act in this way, unilaterally cancelling the mandate of the United Nations agency, is something that the international community has to stand up to.
Sinn Féin says every household would get free prescription medications if it's voted into government. The party is pledging to deliver 5,000 hospital beds with the aim of completely eliminating the use of hospital trolleys. It's also promising the largest ever expansion of the medical card scheme in an overall plan which could cost over €4 billion more than it currently spent on health. Sinn Féin Health spokesperson David Cullinan says the money needs to be spent.
We went from having a trolley crisis that was a winter trolley crisis to an all-year-round crisis. We've had promises that were made to children with scoliosis and spina bifida that were not met. We have children with disabilities who can't access assessments of need or basic services, and our plan is an additional $3.6 billion in the Department of Health over 5 years. That's necessary if you want to put the beds in the system, if you want to hire the staff that we need.
Donegal County Council is to liaise with Transport Infrastructure Ireland with a view towards installing a climbing lane at the Blue Banks on the N56. The issue was raised by Councillor Michael McBride, who told members he believes such a development is necessary. Senior officials replied that a climbing lane was considered during the design phase for the recently completed works on the N56, but the road alignment at this location did not and still does not meet the threshold in the TII road design standards for the provision of a climbing lane. Councillor McBride is asking for that threshold to be explained and reviewed.
My own opinion was from day one that there should always have been a climbing lane at the Blue Banks. There are always a backup of traffic, particularly behind agricultural vehicles and heavy vehicles. That regularly tails back to about 40 cars. And, whenever they get up over the top of the hill, they all have to try and pull out and pass. And I think it actually leads to that road being dangerous. I think the TIA need to review it. The TIA don't get everything right.
A West Donegal councillor believes not enough is being done to control the spread of Japanese knotweed. A pilot scheme to treat the invasive species was previously rolled out in parts of the county. Councillor Michael McClafferty believes the approach to treating Japanese knotweed needs to be reviewed.
I believe a policy change needs to happen here for the likes of the Japanese knotweed, the giant rhubarb, the giant hogweed, etc. Wherever the council may come on it or who know along the road or such, and if it's in your field, they need to have the authority to get into the field as well and spray the field, because I believe there's no point spraying along the road if you're not catching what's in the field as well.
Weather now, mist and fog patches clearing this morning to leave a dry day with limited bright spells. Highest temperatures of 13 to 15 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notice says for this Tuesday morning, October the 29th. The death has taken place of Bibi Doherty, Nate Clafferty, Tander Agee, Clamani. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed. The death has occurred of Sadie McLaughlin, Collier, Tulla Clamani, reposing at her home. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow morning at 10:20, going to St Mary's Church Clamani for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Victor George Luden, 66 Culmore Point. Funeral service in his late home tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, followed by cremation at Lakelands Crematorium Cavan. House private to family and friends. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired, made payable to the Foyle Hospice, 61 at Culmore Road, Londonderry, or Marie Curie Cancer Care, care of Mrs Joan Doherty, 20 Dunhue Park, Victoria Road, Londonderry. The death has taken place of Margaret Rogers, 16 Birch Hill, Creeslock, County Donegal, and formerly Newton Abbey, County Antrim. Her remains will be leaving her home at Birch Hill tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, travelling to Antrim and Newton Abbey Crematorium for ceremony at 2 o'clock. Family flowers only, donations to Rainbow Rehome and Rescue, Cats Protection, Belfast CC Animal Sanctuary, Newton Ards, care of any family member or James Harkin, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Davy Hegarty, 1 Camas Park, Strabane, and formerly of New Mills, Letterkenny. Funeral service in Quigley's Funeral Home today at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in Strabane Cemetery. And the death has taken place of Jim Kelly, Ballybow, Rathmullen, reposing at his late residence. Funeral leaving from his home this morning, going to St Joseph's Church, Rathmullen, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with interment afterwards in Rathmullen Cemetery. Family time please before the funeral this morning. Family flyers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Joe Logue, funeral director, or any family member. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on MCN Media. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio.
You and your little monsters are invited to step into spooky season with McDonald's Happy Meal. The Monster Ball is waiting for you. Enter if you dare. Will you dance with Franklin the Friendly Monster, boogie with Finn the Vampire, or fly around a disco ball with Wilbert the Witch? There's a whole host of spooky fun waiting for you in every Happy Meal. Until the 5th of November from 11 a.m. Includes one pre-selected Booker toy while stocks last.
It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. You're very welcome back to hour 2 of the programme this morning. Some of your comments. Can you please give the staff in the emergency department a shout out? I recently spent 24 hours in the department, very busy, but staff were wonderful people everywhere being seen to, but the staff carried out in a calm and caring professional way, from cleaners to nurses, doctors, every one of them. Thank you all, and that comes from Ray. And thank you, Ray, indeed. And I think in fairness, the vast majority of people will always say the system is terrible, but the staff are excellent, and it's very rarely that you will actually find the complaints centred on the staff. The complaints almost invariably centred on the system and the situation rather than the people who are forced to work in it. The caller says the parking at the Finn Valley Leisure Centre at night is absolutely ridiculous. Some nights and even Saturday mornings it can be very dangerous. People park on double yellow lines all the time, and even on the junction when you're coming up from the Mart Road you have to pull slowly onto the middle of the road and hope nothing is coming up from Dreenan Bridge. There have been countless near misses. It's only a matter of time before someone is seriously hurt. There was never adequate parking when it was just the athletic club, so now the leisure centre is causing even more problems for parking. It's beyond me. If Finn Harps ever get their act together and move over to that area, that'll only exacerbate the problem tenfold. The guards have been rung on numerous occasions. They can't come out, and that's because it's a council building. And that's from a local resident who's very concerned about the situation there. Caller says there's a lot of wild geese in the Port Hall area. A few have been killed by electric wires. Is there anything that could be done with the wires to prevent this from happening? Also, power was off twice last week in the area. It could have been caused by the geese hitting the wires. Caller is asking, this is an interesting one. I am looking for guidance from the RSA on being stopped in the middle of a school run for inspection of a school bus, while children as young as 5 or 6 are left standing alongside busy roads for over 30 to 45 minutes waiting to be picked up for school. Where is the health and safety of the children taken in this practice? Also the children, many thanks. A bus operator for over 45 years. Now, an interesting question. On PPS numbers, I recently went to a weekly dance class. We were all asked to write down our name, age and PPS number. Never thought of it at the time as we were all queuing up, but should this have been asked, our personal information? Now, under normal circumstances, I would have thought no. The only thing I can think of is, was this class being provided perhaps by a local development company or a local community organisation that's being funded under a government scheme, and as such you're entitled to take part in that by dint of the fact that it's a government spot? I don't know. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have thought so. I'm just wondering, was it maybe provided through the ETB or a development company which is government funded? That's the only thing I can think of. It's a very interesting question. The traffic the past number of evenings in Letterkenny town is ridiculous. I work in the Lisnenan area. I've rung Gardaí and asked them to come to direct traffic. A 10-minute journey now takes an hour. Gardaí told me there was no cars available to come to direct traffic. I told them they have 2 feet. They said they have more urgent matters to attend to. The Gardaí told me it was a council problem. Gardaí should be taking some responsibility for traffic in the town. It took me an hour and a half to get to Drumkeen. The traffic situation is dire. People are getting nowhere. And another caller is saying both Charlie McConaughey and Joe McHugh voted for the hate crime bill as they are against democracy and freedom of expression. Now, the caller did refer to this as the hate speech bill. My understanding is that the hate speech element of that legislation actually was taken out of it. So they're not voting on hate speech legislation, they're voting on hate crime legislation. And the speech elements of that legislation have actually been removed and weren't being voted on, as I understand it. We spoke before the break to Minister Alan Dillon. Caller says, what about the small businesses struggling and closing down, the job losses that result? Another caller says, what public transport can we use in Donegal? It's either not in existence, or if it is, it doesn't turn up. Another caller says 1,000 litres of heating oil in Donegal, it's €1,010. In Derry, it's €603. Another caller says there's been an increase in energy credits. We're only getting one €250 credit. In the beginning, we got 4 €200 energy payments. Inflation may be decreasing, but so are the payments. Right, it's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. The Garda information slot with Garda Sean Sweeney coming up in just a moment. But right now, it's time for Highland Radio Vision Ireland Radio Bingo. So if you are a bingo player, grab your books, grab your pens, and without further ado, I will hand you over to Canis.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 29th of October. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S17. It's game number 44. The numbers are 79, 21, 51, 27, 87, 61, 41, 63, 43, and finally 90. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name and contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Thinking about upgrading your car? Pre-order your brand new Kia now with iMotors. We're offering one lucky customer a chance to win €10,000 when they pre-order with iMotors. Avail of 0% finance and a free home charger on selected vehicles. Grab a €500 super value voucher and 7 years warranty. Visit iMotors today and upgrade your car.
Check out Sister Sarah's, the ultimate gastropub in Letterkenny. Enjoy live sports daily on our multiple screens with surround sound, plus live music every weekend. Why not book your party at Sister Sarah's with a range of rooms and food options available? Let our family look after yours at Sister Sarah's. Serving food you'll love from Wednesday to Sunday.
Today's show is brought to you by Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow. Book your Christmas party today. Christmas lunches and dinners available throughout December in our cosy bar and bistro, with live music on selected nights. Add an overnight stay for €45 per person sharing. Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow, the place to be.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's a Tuesday morning. It's just gone 10:15. And if you're a regular listener to the 9 till noon show, you'll know what that means.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Delighted to be joined in studio this morning by Garda Sean Sweeney. Sean, good morning.
Morning, Donal. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Get a little bit closer to that mic if you would, please, Sean. We don't want to miss any of your dulcet tones. Sean, a lot to get through on the show this morning, and we're going to begin with an issue that people will have been hearing about on the news with Michaela, an incident overnight in Mount Charles.
Yeah, we're appealing for witnesses following a road traffic collision that occurred in Main Street in Mount Charles. So this was this morning, Tuesday, 29th October. Shortly after 4:30 a.m, Gardaí and emergency services were alerted to a collision involving a vehicle and pedestrian at that location. A man was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital to receive treatment for serious injuries sustained during the collision. There are no other injuries reported. So we are appealing to anyone who may have witnessed the collision to contact us. Any road users who are in the area between the time of 4 a.m. and 4:40 a.m. have camera footage, including dashcam. Please make this available to investigating Gardaí. Should be in Ballyshannon Garda Station 071 9858 530, or you can call the confidential line 1800 666 111.
I mean, that was about less than 6 hours ago, so hopefully it'll be fresh in people's minds if anyone saw anything there. So yeah. Also a traffic incident, and this is an interesting one. It happened on the 5th of October on the Post Hour in Letterkenny.
Yeah, so this was Saturday, the 5th of October, shortly before 6:10 p.m. There was a minor collision occurred between an ambulance and a white Jeep at the Post Hour roundabout. The wing mirrors of both vehicles collided. The ambulance crew were on emergency call at the time, and they had the lights and sirens were activated. So the driver of the ambulance, he wasn't in a position to stop and ascertain details due to the situation at hand, but he did report the matter to Gardaí as soon as possible afterwards. It's not known if there was any damage caused to the white Jeep, we wish to make contact with the driver to clarify this. We asked them please contact Letterkenny 9167100.
And that, as we say, was Saturday the 5th of October, so just over 3 weeks ago. A silver MTech trailer stolen from Dromore, another one of these trailer thefts.
Yeah, listen, we're appealing for information in relation to this theft. It was a silver MTech trailer, and this happened at Dromore in Letterkenny near the Dry Arse roundabout. This occurred shortly before 10 to 1 a.m. on Saturday the 26th of October. So the 10x5 trailer in question has LED lights, mesh sides, a double axle, and didn't have a registration plate. The trailer was removed from the area by a white transit van with a high roof. Again, there was no registration plates attached here. So we appeal to anybody who may have been in the area, the dual carriage route, outbound or inbound, between 12:30 at night and 1 a.m, who may have dashcam footage to make it available. It's also sought, dashcam is also sought from anybody who is in the general area of the Dry Arse roundabout between those times, or if anybody has any relevant information or come across a similar type of trailer for sale on a second-hand basis. We ask them to contact Gardaí Letterkenny on 9167100. Again, the confidential line 1800 666 111.
And I suppose in many cases the concern here is that a trailer like that could well be across the border as well. So this will very much be a cross-border appeal, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. We've had a couple of incidents over recent weeks, Sean, of thefts from the vicinity of churches, and a particularly nasty one this week.
Yeah, we received a report in relation to theft that occurred at the graveyard beside the Sacred Heart Church in Carndonagh between July and October. A grave had been covered in green glass chippings in July of that year. So at some stage between July 17th and October 17th, the entire covering of glass chippings was removed and stolen from the grave. So our appeal is anybody who can assist with any relevant information, please contact Buncrana 9320540. We're anxious to progress this investigation, so we urge anybody who may have observed any type of suspicious activity around the graveyard over the course of those months to make contact with us.
Particularly nasty, as I said. An incident of criminal damage in the vicinity of Port Hall, Lifford, over the weekend.
Yeah, this occurred in the area of Glenfad, Port Hall and Lifford on Saturday the 26th of October between 11 p.m. and 11:15 p.m. Gardaí and fire services responded to a call in relation to Ford Transit that was on fire in the yard at that location. Believe the fire may have been started maliciously, so our appeal is to anybody who observed suspicious activity or vehicles in that area between those times to make contact with Gardaí. So always we appeal to anybody who may have travelled in that area with dashcam to make the footage available to us. You can contact Letterkenny again 9167100.
Criminal damage again, this time in Letterkenny.
Yeah, this occurred at the area of Ballymacool Woods between 1 a.m. and 10 a.m. On Saturday the 26th of October. Damage was caused to the door and lock of a coffee trailer in that area, but entry was not gained. Our appeal is for any relevant information, contact Letterkenny again 9167100 or the confidential line.
I know that particular trailer has been targeted a number of times in recent weeks. It's not the first appeal we've had in relation to it.
No, exactly. No, so we'll be anxious to try and do something with this.
Again, criminal damage, sadly, over the weekend, this time in Buncrana.
Yes, occurred on Upper Main Street in Buncrana between 5 p.m. on Friday the 25th of October and 11 a.m. on Saturday the 26th. The car was parked at that location and at some stage between those times, one of the wing mirrors was damaged. So our appeal to anybody who observed the incident or if they can offer any relevant information, please contact Gardaí Buncrana on 9320540.
Again, staying in the show, another criminal damage incident, this time closer to the border at Burnfoot.
Yeah, this happened at Lease na Grania and Burnfoot between 10 p.m. on Friday the 25th of October and 2:50 a.m. on Saturday the 26th. A van being parked in that address in that area and it was covered with paint between those times. So our appeal to residents in the area, please make contact with Gardaí if they observed or heard anything last Friday night into Saturday morning that might assist with our investigation. If they have any information that can assist, we'd ask them to contact Gardaí Buncrana on 9320540.
And other incidents in relation to damage to cars, this time in the vicinity of Ballybofey.
Yeah, this appeal is in relation to 6 incidents of criminal damage that occurred between 7 p.m. on Wednesday 23rd October and 9:30 a.m. on Thursday 24th at the Navenny car park in Ballybofey. The wipers were pulled off of 6 cars in the car park between those times. In some instances, the wiper brackets were bent and broken also. One of the cars also scraped along the passenger door. So if anybody observed any suspicious activity in that area between those times, or if they can assist with any relevant information, please ask them to contact Letterkenny on 9167100.
The mindlessness of things like that just gets to me sometimes. It's really, Yeah, so I mean they're all there, and all these of course will be going up on the website, and it'll be we'll be putting the recording of this up on the website, and it'll be going up on your own page as well, so people can and of course check the Highland Radio site as well. People can look back on the various details of all the incidents coming up. We know Michaela is working very hard to get all this online over the course of the next hour or so. Halloween this week, it's coming up on Thursday night, and we've had the firework appeal before, and I suppose it's no harm to have the firework appeal again, because this is really, really important. There is great fun to be had over the coming days. There is also potentially great danger.
Exactly, yeah. As Halloween is upon us, we don't want anybody injured by any fireworks. So we urge anybody who's thinking of buying or using fireworks to have a rethink. Many horrific life-changing injuries are sustained at Halloween and run up to and every year is caused by fireworks. So not only are they dangerous, but there are severe criminal penalties for anybody who's found guilty from the offence of lighting an illegal firework, throwing an ignited firework at a person or property, or possession for sale supply. So the penalties are fines up to €10,000 and or 5 years imprisonment. So if anybody comes across fireworks sale or any type of antisocial or illegal behaviour and run up to Halloween, we ask them please contact us immediately. There are a couple of stations there are open 24/7 basis, which are Letterkenny, Milford, Buncrana and Ballyshannon. And as always, you can always call 999.
And I suppose for anything that we've raised on the programme today, obviously there's individual Garda stations and districts looking at the individual incidents. But I mean, if people have information, they can call into any Garda station, call into their own local station if it so suits them, pass on a message there. It's going to get passed on to the investigating station. And finally, Sean, I suppose if anyone has any perspective on any of these issues, they can, if they choose, use the confidential line. Could you just remind us of what the confidential line number is?
It's 1800 661. So you leave your details there, and it's totally confidential, and the information we pass to the relevant Garda station.
Sean, thank you very much indeed. That's Garda Sean Sweeney there. And they were the appeals on the Community Garda information slot for today. And as we said, don't forget, they will be going up on the website over the course of the next hour or so. And we'll be putting the whole thing up on the website between 12 and 1. And it'll be on the Garda Síochána Donegal Facebook page as well. But for the moment, Garda Sean Sweeney, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Don.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. We spoke earlier to Marty from the downgraded homeowners group, which is working very hard on that downgrading issue. And the question is the issue here that if the government recognises pyrite, they'll have to give full redress, as they did in Dublin. They're making deliberate decisions to continue the suffering of homeowners. How could anyone in Donegal vote for either Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael? That one coming from Martin. Another caller says, if there is any justice in the world, the people who are wrecking other people's homes and murdering people in the Middle East should be spending the rest of their lives in jail. What's going on in Gaza is appalling, so says a caller. It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Just to remind you, you can make contact with the show. Text 086 60 20 5000. You can also, of course, call us on 074 91 25000, 00353 74 91 25000 if you're outside of the dialing area. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back from the break, we'll be speaking about the Northwest region's largest energy event, which is returning for the 6th year with a full day's conference. Lots of talk about that after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow. Book your Christmas party today. Christmas lunches and dinners available throughout December in our cosy bar and bistro with live music on selected nights. Add an overnight stay for €45 per person sharing. Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow, the place to be.
We're celebrating 125 years of Opel. And with a milestone like that, what better time to explore Opel's extensive award-winning range? Plus, if you order your 251 Opel now, we'll gift you with a €500 Dunn Stores gift card. Other than that, we've not much else to talk about. In fact, the percentage of time we're going to talk about finance offers, that would be 0%. Happy buy day to you. Find out more about our 251 offers at Manor Motors Opel. See manormotors.ie for details. T's and C's apply.
Do you live in Donegal? Fancy upskilling without breaking the bank? Big Red Cloud, in collaboration with KW and Donegal Education and Training Boards, is offering a series of free, yes free, training programs in bookkeeping and payroll. All courses are available online with flexible learning schedules at times that suit you. Big Red Cloud enables learners with no prior knowledge to upskill in payroll and accounts. Sign up today at bigredcloud.com/training. Free, certified and completed at your own pace. Brought to you by Donegal ETB.
Sheridan Security now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
It's 10:30 on the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. The largest energy conference in the Northwest is returning for 6th year. It's taking place in the coming weeks, and we're going to go to Zoom now and have a chat with the conference organiser, Jamie Delargy. Jamie, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Donal.
Pleasure to speak to you, Jamie. Jamie, the London Dairy Chamber of Commerce and Letterkenny Chamber coming together to present the Northwest Future of Energy Conference and Exhibition is taking place on Thursday, November 7th at the Ebrington Hotel in Derry. It's the 6th year, and this has become a very important event in the region's calendar.
Absolutely. And it comes at I think perhaps at a crucial time in the whole field of energy. And I say that because, in recent years, the pandemic, the invasion of Ukraine, soaring energy prices, far-right politics, focus on immigration, they've all pushed the climate change down the agenda. Now, this is an opportunity to revive interest in the issue of climate change and to get renewable energy discussed more, new ways of doing things. So, we've had, I suppose, people have been switching to electric cars, for instance, but then the high prices have been a bit of a deterrence. Likewise, everybody knows, I suppose, that heat pumps are a good way of decarbonising heat in their own homes. But then there's a big price differential between them and the standard oil and gas boiler. So, again, the new north-south interconnector, it's terribly important, but people understandably don't want to see pylons and wires strung along the landscape. So there are a lot of headwinds and against that enthusiasm we should be showing for measures to combat climate change. There's a lot of things distracting us that I mentioned. And so I think the conference comes at a really good time to sort of, if you like, charge up those batteries and make sure that we're contributing to the fight against global warming, which is having devastating consequences across the world. Maybe not so much on this island, but still will have an effect.
It's interesting that you use the word headwinds there as you were speaking about the topics and the debate, because obviously wind energy is something that's very much a matter for debate. There's a big debate about the use of turbines on land. And we see them, they're becoming ubiquitous now, and there's an ongoing debate over where they should be located and how close to homes, etc., etc. There's also a growing discussion about the harnessing of wind at sea, and Lough Foyle and the area around the Foyle comes into this discussion more and more, and Lough Foyle is a shared resource between both sides of the border. The Loughs Agency is a shared cross-government and cross-border body that looks after Lough Foyle, and there's to be a very big discussion, I suspect, to be had on the use of the Foyle for wind energy in the area around the Foyle on both sides, and that's coming up in one of the discussions.
Yeah, I think the issue about the siting of wind farms is pretty critical. because we want them, we want to put them in the most advantageous places, and onshore that's been in the top of mountains. But then realistically, and then of course offshore, we want them in positions where they're going to attract the most wind. Lough Foyle, I presume, is will offer attractions, but really the coasts. The coast will offer a much better opportunity. So off the west coast of Donegal, wonderful consistent winds, as everybody knows who, like myself, holidays in Donegal. You're never too far away from a breezy day. That in a sense is the optimum place off the coasts. One thing I would say about once you've established, now you've mentioned the concern that people maybe have about the siting of wind farms. And once you get that electricity ashore, you're going to have to create, either strengthen the network to take that energy, which is coming in large quantities, and that means maybe new pylons, or at least strengthening the grid. And I know people have an objection to that because they think it disfigures the landscape. But it's a curious thing because there's not the same level of opposition to new roadways. I mean, people, yes, they might be at the very point where the road is going through, people might have an objection. But if you think the two things are both networks, one is a network for getting transport about, getting you about, and people see the obvious advantages of a new road, and they swing in behind it, or there's not the same as I say, level of opposition. But there's every reason to look at the grid as being a network. It's not transporting people, but it's transporting a vital source of energy. And it is, we really need to have those networks there to save lives, to try and decarbonize, and to, move our economy along. So in a way, if we could only look at the grid as being another network like the road system, and perhaps the opposition to it might diminish somewhat.
Something I've noticed, and I have no scientific basis for saying this other than my own personal observations. On the Donegal side, the Republic side of the border, there are wind farms. And you see a wind farm, a gathering of however many, be it 15, be it 20, whatever, turbines. It seems to me that both driving along the A5, as I do regularly, and driving to Belfast, as I've done a number of times recently as well, there seems to be many more single turbines in Northern Ireland. That what you see in the Republic are big wind farms where there's clumps of 15 or 20. But if you drive along the N5, there's maybe 7 or 8 different single turbines attached to single farms or single businesses. Is there a policy difference on both sides of the border? I mean, it seems to me it's a very different approach.
Well, there has been in the past. I'm not sure about the grant system in the Republic, but certainly in Northern Ireland, there was now the grants have stopped, but in the past there was quite an attractive offer of support for people putting up single turbines, and that may not have been paralleled in the south to the same degree.
I suspect that is the case.
So that might explain the disparity that you're seeing. I'm not quite, as I say, I'm not across the detail of the grant support, but in any case, that grant system has stopped for the moment, and we'll have to see what comes in the north. We'll have to see what is going to replace it when when the government makes these decisions.
Oh no, it's just, as I say, an observation that myself and my better half had as we were driving along the road there quite recently.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the media partner for this particular event, because the media partner is Highland Radio, and my colleague Greg will be chairing one of the discussions, and my colleague John, who follows this programme on around the Northwest, will also be broadcasting live from the event. Having Highland as a media partner, it's a very interesting and exciting development from our point of view. Important for the conference that there is a media partner of that nature and of that stature.
I think so. I mean, Greg, Greg is going to be chairing a discussion talking about the skills pipeline, because it's all very well to say we should be doing these things, we should be installing heat pumps, we should be, encouraging people to to buy electric cars, we doing the things that we want them to do. But you've got to have the backup. You've got to have the skills there in place to ensure that the things, once installed, can be monitored, can be maintained. Likewise with the car. So the skills pipeline, that discussion that Greg is going to be chairing, is a crucial one. It's crucial on both sides of the border, and we will have to do it. We will have to make sure that there is the level of support to allow people to have comfort that once they put in this newfangled heat pump that they're not terribly familiar with, that they have got somebody there they can call upon to come out and fix it. They can get somebody to come out to service it. So this is a critical thing. One of the things that I probably didn't mention when I was talking earlier there is one of the headwinds maybe is the price of electricity. Now, it so happens that the most recent figures available show how the price of the wholesale price of electricity compares on this island, because of course we have a single electricity market. So at the wholesale level, you're facing the same price both north and south, and it's proved to be in the second quarter of this year the most expensive of the countries surveyed by the EU Commission for their regular survey, and it has been near the top of that league for about the previous that for the first half of this year and the last year. So there is a thing when you're telling people, look, you really need to switch off the oil boiler, get rid of the gas boiler, and switch to a heat pump, which is obviously totally powered by electricity. When you're telling them to use an electric car, you want to be able to assure them that they're paying a very good price, a keen price for electricity. And our prices, the wholesale price of electricity, being either at the top of the league or close to the top of the league in Europe, is not a good incentive. And I think that's something that has to be addressed. In Northern Ireland, I mentioned earlier there that the government's going to bring in a scheme which is likely to bring in a scheme called CFDs. And that, I'll not go into the technicalities of it, but that is likely to help to keep, to reduce prices. So there is some hope on the horizon, some reason for optimism that the wholesale price of electricity will be trimmed a bit in Northern Ireland. Because, as I say, when you're asking people to do something and they say, well, what's the price of it or what's the cost of it? And you're saying, well, look, unfortunately, the wholesale price of electricity is a bit high. That's not going to prompt them. That's not going to encourage them to make the switch. So we really do have to address the cost of electricity.
The theme of the event is sustainable energy through innovation, and I suppose that's the one theme that's been running through what you've said. Looking at things like how we harness wind into the future, looking at things like biomass, looking at things like building that skills pipeline as well. And as you said, it's one thing to have the technology, it's one thing to have the protocols, but you have to have the people to run them, and crucially the people to understand them. It's going to be important that companies come along to this, that businesses come along to this, and that as you try to move forward with this whole energy debate, that businesses, that companies are moving along with you.
Yeah, and I think we've got an excellent lineup of speakers, and I think from my experience, having chaired the conference in past years, encourages me to tell people that this is a great opportunity for your business to come along and be briefed on some of the latest discussions, the latest thinking. I mean, we have, for instance, Plan Energy about how to reduce your energy costs and curb your carbon emissions. That's important. We'll have Paul Stanfield from Firmus Energy and then talking about using biomethane to decarbonize the natural gas network. We have a speaker from Vestas, massive company that produces wind turbines, will be giving us their tuppence worth. Ian Looney from Foyle Port talking about renewables. Look, we have Evermore, the company that built Ireland's first biomass station. Look, we have such a lineup of wonderful speakers and great talks that you're going to get something from this. You're going to come away thinking this has been a good investment of my time. This is I have learned something that is of practical use to me, and as I move forward, if you're running a business, and indeed for people who are not necessarily running a business but have a reason for an input into the commercial world, be they politicians, councillors, MLAs, TDs, there is something everybody can pick up from.
And I suppose too, from the point of view of businesses, they do want to play their part in looking after the environment, etc. They do want to be doing the right thing, but they're businesses. They also want to make money, and perhaps there are investment opportunities. Perhaps there's money making opportunities in terms of investing in alternative energies, investing in sustainable energy, and finding ways where maybe in moving into these alternatives and into these sustainable energy streams, they can also perhaps save themselves money and perhaps even generate some income for themselves.
Well, it's the case that companies, very smaller companies, may think, do I want to make this investment? I don't have lots of money to spare. Can I afford to invest in equipment which is going to allow me to decarbonize my business? And my advice, for what it's worth, is that you really have no option, because you may think that it's maybe not a high priority, but the company you're supplying to, the giant, perhaps company with an international reputation and international throw, is going to want you to decarbonize, because they've got to show to their suppliers that they've got that their customers, that they are, and investors, that they are decarbonizing. And if their suppliers, the people who are supplying to them, are not doing that, then they haven't a complete 100% story to tell. So whether you, in a sense, and I suppose everybody come to the conference, of course, will be committed to renewables. But if some companies feel, well, this is not for me, this is really, I have other things to be bothered about, I have more important things. No, you don't. This is a hugely important thing. You've got to decarbonize. If you're not for your own benefit of your own business, well, effectively, I'm going to say that it is for the benefit of your own business, because someone else wants you to decarbonize. It might be, to paraphrase that well-known commentator on renewable energy, Leon Trotsky, nobody huge interest.
The hero of most businesses these days, I'm sure.
Hero of most businesses. You may not be interested in climate change, but climate change is interested in you, and so you're going to have to change, whether you like it or not.
And I suppose if we're going to finish on cliches, let's add the old: if they're asking, "Can I afford to do it?" the response is, "Can you afford not to?"
Absolutely.
Jimmy Delargy, you are hosting the Northwest's largest energy event. It's returning for the 6th year. It's looking at sustainable energy through innovation. The Chambers in Derry and Letterkenny are both organising it. It's taking place, as we said, at the Ebrington Hotel on Thursday, November 7th. And I suppose really the message to people is, start looking at registering and getting involved now.
Absolutely.
And as we said, Highland Radio are the media partners. Highland Broadcasting, John Breslin broadcasting around the Northwest from the programme, and Greg chairing one of the sessions as well. Jimmy Delargy, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Bye, Donal.
It's been a pleasure.
Today's show is brought to you by Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow. Book your Christmas party today. Christmas lunches and dinners available throughout December in our cosy bar and bistro, with live music on selected nights. Add an overnight stay for €45 per person sharing. Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow, the place to be.
Níl sé éasca gnó a reachtáil, ach bechógamach sé éasca ruchtana áil haceocht. Is é an millfuntar náisiúnta nua an inse éonar de haceocht ile an rialtas do gnó. Le breis agus céadach dú takeocht in éon áiteáin, tá sé níos éasca ná riamh diontas, cóirle, ilehaint agus go leor eile aimsiú. Agus ná bíoch imniart mar bhfuil cadtá weit, tróróí ar bhrin chairachú gach céim den bhealach. Tuair cuairt ar nih.gov.ie chun fólam chunas is féidirlinn cabhla. An millfuntar náisiúnta, tosaí an takeocht an seo, tionscluftachuid rialtas na hÉireann.
Thinking of getting a new car in 2025? Why not get one in 2026 as well? Buy a selected 251 Nissan and we'll replace it with a 261 Nissan for free. For details about this and all our 251 offers, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Join me, Marty Friel, this and every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. If you're celebrating a birthday or a work night out, Arena 7 Entertainment Complex has it all. Check out arena7.ie.
Hi, I'm thinking of getting another tattoo to go with my raging dragon one.
Sure. What are you looking for?
Well, maybe something like a...
Bunnies! He wants a row of bunny rabbits with twitchy noses.
Your vote is your voice, so don't let others decide for you.
All holding giant flowers.
Who's that?
Ella. She works in the bank next door.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter, so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Too cute. And like Sarah on it.
Cute? I'm a martial arts champion. And my boyfriend's name is Jack.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. If you haven't started using the McElhenny's Layaway Club, it's not too late. Spread the cost of Christmas with designer gifts for the whole family. Available by phone or in-store at McElhenny's Ballybuffet.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. We're going to go to an issue that is affecting a resident of McNeely Villas in Letterkenny. We're joined on the line by Hannah Boyle and also by Hannah's sister Katie. First off, Hannah, good morning.
Hello. Good morning to you.
Good morning. And Katie, good morning to you as well.
Good morning, Donal.
Hannah, I'm going to go to you first now. I know Katie is going to do a lot of the talking with us this morning, but Hannah, I know that you live in McNeely Villas and you use a motorised wheelchair stroke scooter, but you're having an issue. Tell us what the problem is.
The back there is very hard getting up and down it, right?
Yeah.
We have much muck and stones on it. The only way I get on it is on the back way of my house.
Yeah.
It's very hard. No one's getting on. And even mornings, I was thinking I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out of the house. Just I feel I get stuck on it.
Yeah. Katie, you've been trying to help Hannah as much as you can. I mean, the situation, as Hannah explains, it sounds serious. Tell us what's there, because it sounds like a major problem.
Yeah, well, first of all, Hannah's only access to her home is a back door, because Hannah's on a scooter, and she can't use the front door, so she has to go around the back lane. Now the lane is a disgrace. That there's a lot of holes, stones, muck, and every time she's getting punctures all the time. Hannah's been stuck many times out the back of the lane, which neighbours comes out and helps Hannah and pushes her out of the holes, but actually is on the back lane. Now, there's one issue that Hannah was saying, that a neighbour actually found Hannah lying in a hole in the back of the lane because Hannah was shouting for help. And the neighbour himself, I'm not going to name the neighbour, but the neighbour himself had a triple bypass. As an elderly person, he came out and helped Hannah out of the hole. Hannah had fallen in them potholes for many times, and I had to write emails and phone calls to the council to try and fix it. Now, I have to say, myself was writing emails, and there's a friend, and he's a person that lives in McNeely Village. He's a community activist. His name is Colin.
Mm-hmm.
He was supporting Hannah too, and Colin was writing emails himself too. So we have been trying to contact the council through emails and phone calls, which are hiding behind the emails and everything else. This is very serious. Hannah's very vulnerable. She has she cannot walk. She has a disability. She keeps falling.
Yeah.
And Hannah's actually in very bad pain now this morning, because she was telling me that she didn't know she could do this, because she's a lot of painkillers from up and down that laneway, and all the holes that she's been into. Now, there was a budget allocated to fix that lane, and that was in July 2023. Now, they did start fixing it at the very top, and they started clearing it, but they never came back to fix to tar it. Now,
the new surface never appeared.
Never appeared. It hasn't, as far as we're concerned, the health and safety about for people like ourselves, Hannah, going up and down that laneway, people walking, there's children plays down there. And I just think it's a disgrace that that they didn't fix it, which they know Hannah. Everybody around there kind of knows Hannah has been in a scooter 17 years. She had a tumour and she's been in a wheelchair ever since. And Hannah has got about 3-4 scooters already. And Hannah tries her best to save every penny Hannah gets to try and to maintain the scooter, fix the punctures, or you have to buy a new one.
And I believe someone has to come down from Kerry-Keel to fix the punctures. It's not just something that could be done quickly locally.
There's a Kerry-Keel. There's a Kerry-Keel man comes down, helps Hannah and fixes. And then there's a garage over by Pierce Road, and they are very good now. Hannah was going to get them to come on over, and a lot of her money's was being paid for all these punctures, and and it's just it's a fun too because. She was out, she likes going swimming. She likes going out to Aura, and she came back once. She had a slow puncture, and guess what happened? She forgot to take her phone with her, and she was stuck out there, and the guards passed her. And the guards had their paddy wagon that day, and they gave her Hannah a lift home. And Hannah was embarrassed, but it was her only help.
Yeah.
So, and Hannah had no one else to ring, and Hannah says, thank God the guards passed Katie because I had a puncture, and I couldn't move, and she was stuck. And the guards were very happy. They were very happy to give her a lift home. But I was embarrassed for her to get out of the paddy wagon and help, and them taking the scooter. And for everybody knows the story, Hannah needs help.
Yeah, and in fairness, you have said it. Everyone in McNeelyville is and further afield, as you say. Everyone knows Hannah. Everyone is doing all they can to help Hannah as much as they can. But really, what Hannah wants, and I'm sure from Hannah's point of view, and I'm going to come back to you in a moment, Hannah. I'm sure Hannah wants her own independence, and I'm going to put that to Hannah. I mean, Hannah, I know Hannah, I'm sure you appreciate everyone's help. You appreciate all the support, but you want to be independent. You want to do your own thing in your own scooter in your own time. I'm sure.
Yes, I do, sure.
And from your point of view, the most important thing is that this lane is put in a situation where you can actually use it.
Yes. Every time I get up, and the first thing in the morning I think about it is, will I get up or down? I don't know. Was I stuck on something? No, terrible.
Yeah.
I was very upset.
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate that, Katie, and I know, and that's what I'm saying here. It really is that, Hannah wants her own independence, and it's really incumbent, as you said, the council had made a commitment last year. It began work to clear it, but hasn't finished up the work. Now, I know I've seen...
Where's the money? Where's the money? Don't know where was it? I was allocated for that lane. Where did it go? Why did they stop?
Yeah.
A lot of people are out there and asking questions.
And I'm sure you've been in touch with some of the councillors around the town as well.
Oh, I have, and there's been emergency meetings now because of the fact that there's a voice there now. Collins, he's a community activist, and he has wrote things on posters on the Old Town community. And the fact that now when I wrote, I have wrote so many emails and Colin, and then when I spoke that Hannah fell out of the scooter a couple of times, and it's not that she's. Some people falling, that they're actually going running looking for compensation. Hannah doesn't want that. All Hannah wants, Hannah's mental health has got deteriorated. All she wants is that lane. If they could just fix it for her to go up and down that wee lane, and that's all she wants. She's asked for nothing. Never asked me from nobody. If anything, Hannah's a very kind lady.
Yeah.
She'd be there for you. But the fact that the council could please do something. They need to do it now, because the weather's so bad. Like, I know the weather's bad, but the tower needs to be put down for Hannah. Hannah feels like a prisoner in her own home.
Yeah.
Every morning she's ringing me. She's worried about her health, and I'm worried about. She's my sister, and I'm worried about her health and safety up and down that lane.
Of course.
She's fallen so many times. The neighbours are coming out. Hannah's shouting. All the neighbours coming out, going, Hannah, we will try our best to help.
And in fairness to the community, they're doing just that. All I can say, Katie, is, fair play to you and the community for doing everything you can. Hannah, hang in there. The council's going to have to listen to what you're saying and what the community is saying, and hopefully we will get this resolved. I know that there's been more of a public focus on it, and no better man than Colm, no stranger to this programme either, no better man than Colm to start putting the pressure on it. But for the moment, Katie and Hannah, thank you both very much indeed.
Can I just say one thing?
You
I
can
wonder,
indeed.
like, the council, what kind of feedback are we going to get back from this?
Well,
You know,
we've certainly put a question to the council, and we'll see what answer we get back, and we can take it from there. But I mean, I'm sure it's well in the public domain now, and hopefully something will come of that.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks, Donal.
Okay,
for that
Katie,
there.
thank you,
very
and
much for having me.
and all, yeah, and all the best to you, and Hannah, all the best to you as well, and good luck.
Thanks for having me on radio. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, Hannah, you take care. Bye bye now.
Yeah. Bye-bye now.
That's Hannah and her sister Katie there, the situation at McNeely Villas in Old Town. I had this nagging feeling as I was starting the conversation with Katie and Hannah that there was something I was after forgetting to do. And I then thought, oh yeah, there was a jingle promising a weather forecast which never materialised. So before we go for a break, I'll give you the very quick weather forecast now. Mist and fog patches will gradually clear through the morning, leaving a dry day for many with limited bright spells. Patchy rain moving in through the late afternoon and evening. Highest temperatures 13 to 15 degrees Celsius in light westerly or variable breezes. Mostly dry overnight with some clear spells, especially in the southeast. Some rain and drizzle as well. Lowest overnight temperatures of 9 to 11. Light southwest or variable breezes. Mist and fog patches will develop tomorrow Wednesday. Dry, albeit mostly cloudy, with a little light rain and drizzle. Top temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees Celsius. Light southwesterly or variable breezes. And that's Highland Radio weather for the moment. Well, this is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio with Donal Kavanagh. 1 hour to go on the programme this morning, approaching 11 o'clock. It's time for headlines, and we say good morning to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. Gardaí are appealing for information after a pedestrian was seriously injured in an overnight crash in South Donegal. The man was struck by a vehicle at around 4:30am on Main Street, Mount Charles. He's been taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for treatment to his injuries. Downgraded defective concrete block homeowners are to lodge a formal complaint with the housing agency. Over 100 families in Donegal have been left outraged after they had their remediation option downgraded. Homeowners are now demanding a thorough investigation into the decision to go against original recommendations made to demolish and rebuild properties. A planned ban on a UN agency supporting Palestinian refugees is being described as dangerous. Israel's parliament yesterday voted to ban UNRWA from working in Israel and the Palestinian territories. The head of the refugee agency says a ban would deprive 650,000 children of an education and put an entire generation at risk. It's believed a van fire in Porthall over the weekend was started maliciously. Gardaí and the fire service were tasked to the scene after the Ford Transit van was set on fire at a yard in Glenfad between 11 and 11:15pm on Saturday. Gardaí are appealing to anyone who observed any suspicious activity or vehicles in the area at the time to come forward. A number of cars have been damaged in Ballybuffet during a spate of criminal damage incidents. Between 7pm on Wednesday last and 9:30am on Thursday, the wipers were pulled off 6 cars in Navanny Car Park. Wiper brackets were bent and broken also, while one of the cars was scraped along the passenger door. Donegal County Council is to liaise with Transport Infrastructure Ireland with a view towards installing a climbing lane at the Blue Banks on the N56. The issue has been raised by Councillor Michael McBride, who has told members he believes such a development is necessary. Senior officials replied that a climbing lane was considered during the design phase for the recently completed works on the N56, but the road alignment at this location did not and still does not meet the threshold in the TII road design standards for the provision of a climbing lane. And people are being urged to rethink buying or using fireworks this Halloween. Gardaí and Donegal are reminding people of the horrific life-changing injuries sustained during the festivities. They're warning that they are not only dangerous but also come with severe criminal penalties for anyone who is found igniting an illegal firework, throwing an ignited firework at a person or property, or being in possession of illegal fireworks for sale or supply. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much indeed, Michaela.
Today's show is brought to you by Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow. Book your Christmas party today. Christmas lunches and dinners available throughout December in our cosy bar and bistro with live music on selected nights. Add an overnight stay for €45 per person sharing. Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow, the place to be.
Maybe you're finally on a date again, 6 months after your divorce. Or maybe you and your better half are wondering whether a cuddle could be more than a cuddle. Or perhaps you'd like to tell a woman you're absolutely mad about that you don't feel like it tonight. There are lots of times and places where we need to say what we want and what we don't want. Whatever the moment, have the consent conversation. A message from the Government of Ireland.
At Hidden Hearing right now, get up to €2,000 off state-of-the-art hearing aids, even if you don't qualify for PRSI. Visit hiddenhearing.ie today. T's and C's apply.
Check out Sister Sarah's, the ultimate gastropub in Letterkenny. Enjoy live sports daily on our multiple screens with surround sound, plus live music every weekend. Why not book your party at Sister Sarah's with a range of rooms and food options available? Let our family look after yours at Sister Sarah's. Serving food you'll love from Wednesday to Sunday.
The best businesses never stop beginning. So whether you're starting or growing your business, we want to make it easier for you. At Bank of Ireland, our faster, easier online loan applications help your business take the next step. Search Bank of Ireland Business Loans. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Need rapid care for a minor injury or fracture? Why wait when you can be seen today at Kingsbridge Northwest's Minor Injuries and Fracture Clinic? See a GP with A&E experience and avail of further scans or surgery with highly trained nurses, radiologists and orthopaedic surgeons on site. Available Monday through to Saturday for Leia insured and self-paying patients. Visit kingsbridgegpclinic.com today for further information.
Halloween is almost here. 1,000 screams will fill the air. And this Halloween, the National Lottery are guaranteeing at least one scream of their own. Because on October 31st, one Irish Eurodreams player is guaranteed to win €2,000 a month for 5 years. That's €2,000 every single month for the next 5 years. Just play Eurodreams on Halloween for your chance to win. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly, play for fun.
It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Delighted to say that we're joined in studio this morning by Claudia Kennedy of Fianna Fáil, who has been added to the ticket for the forthcoming general election, and Claudia will be on the ballot paper for the Fianna Fáil party. Claudia, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
It's our pleasure. Claudia, you didn't contest the initial selection convention which took place in September. What was the process that brought you being added to the ticket last week?
So the process really was where the NCC and HQ approached me in terms of going forward for the ticket, and that was due to my work on the ground. I'm a teacher in Finn Valley. I deal a lot with families who are dealing with a cost of living crisis. As an officer of the CDC of Fianna Fáil, I'm meeting ministers consistently, and I will be bringing queries to them. For example, when we had Jack Chambers in the constituency last May, I was taking up issues like the A5 around the Twin Towns bypass. When it was Stephen Donnelly, who was in Donegal Town, opening the community health centre there, I was looking at GPs, upskilling GPs, increasing GPs and the waiting time, particularly for elderly residents in Donegal. So the party was very aware of my work on the ground, delivery, working through our ministerial and government base and trying to deliver for people on the ground. And I think that's hugely significant.
You didn't choose to contest the selection convention yourself. I mean, had that been on your mind leading up to the selection convention?
My whole thought process is about supporting the party. It still is. It's about working together as a team. It's about putting out different candidates who will meet different needs for the electorate. For me, I'm a young woman. I'm going to be speaking on female issues around childcare, around women's health, particularly around housing. So for me, as a member of the party, it's about putting forward a dynamic, different team, different candidates with different strengths.
But does the fact that you didn't contest that initial selection convention in September, does that suggest you didn't believe you'd be elected? I mean, or why hadn't you put yourself forward at that point?
At that point, it was more important for me to support the two candidates, particularly our Minister, Charlie McConlogue.
No, but I mean before the two candidates were chosen, as in the process, we initially had 5 people went forward for the selection convention. 2, Donal Mandy Kelly and Niall Blaney withdrew, and we had Minister McConlogue, we had Pat the Cope Gallagher, and we had Micheál Naughton, Councillor Naughton, contest the selection convention. Should Claudia Kennedy's name have been on that before the party at that point put forward, nominated in August or early September, so that Claudia Kennedy could have been considered by the party members at that vote?
Perhaps, Donal, absolutely. I contested in 2016. I went forward for that general election convention. I had just come through a local election of 2024 and contested in 2014. So perhaps there is that train of thought. But for me, at that time and moment, it was supporting the party as it still is.
The comment made on Friday last by Councillor Liam Blaney on this programme, he said if there were to be a third candidate added to the ticket by HQ, he was questioning why wasn't it Micheál Naughton, who topped the poll in the Donegal electoral area, was elected on the first count, and ran Pat the Cope Gallagher quite close at that selection convention, which I'm sure you attended. From that point of view, the big difference, of course, between yourself and Micheál Naughton is you are a woman, that there is an obligation on the party to put a certain proportion of female candidates before the electorate, and the perception is going to be, rightly or wrongly, that you're here as a nominated candidate, not because of your track record, but because you're a woman.
Well, let me say, I was a member of the National Executive of Fianna Fáil. I contributed to the Mark of Each report of 2015. I am in favour of gender quotas. I think it is very difficult for women to have a chance and to get their voice out there and to be heard. And our party leadership is 100% behind women, women's voices, and also women's health, women's issues. And I think I represent that.
Are you facing a challenge in terms of the campaign from where you're launching yourself now, that you haven't had the time before convention? I mean, I'm sure from the point of view of Pat the Cope Gallagher, the point of view of Minister Charlie McConalogue, they've been gearing themselves up for this campaign for quite some time. You are potentially facing 4.5 to 5 weeks of, and I mean, the election could be a month today. The election could be November 29th. That seems to be the hot favourite in terms of the date. We could be seeing the Dáil dissolved by November 5th and the election then called. So from that point of view, are you on the back foot in terms of preparing and running a campaign?
Well, firstly, I'm in a very unique position. I ran in the local elections for the Donegal electoral area. I'm very familiar with the issues. For example, last week I was in Donegal Town at a public meeting around parking and congestion around the Diamond. That's the first issue. Second issue, I live, I work and I teach in Stranorlar. That is my base, that is where I come from. Therefore, there's 2 electoral areas that I'm going to be very strong in. I have been on the ground, I have been working, I have been delivering on issues. And in our party, it has to be said, it is more about delivery. It's not about a 5-minute soundbite on Highland Radio. It's not about how many likes you're going to get on social media. It's not about how many public meetings you've done. It's about delivery. Has Claudia Kennedy taken that issue? Has she brought it to the right minister? Has she delivered? And people on the ground will know that, Donal. That's hugely important and significant. And for me, my priorities going forward are very different to the other candidates. For me, as a young teacher and meeting families, it's about provision of autistic children and their needs. It's about early intervention in autism. It's around increasing speech and language therapy, physiotherapy. It's about supporting families at a very difficult time with the cost of living crisis. It's about helping renters. It's about helping those who are struggling with housing. I'm in a very different situation and I'm putting forward a very different view to the other 2 candidates.
Do the public know that? Because bottom line, when it comes to, we'll say November 29th, because it's the top favourite in terms of the date. The challenge is, I mean, and members of the party know Claudia Kennedy well. Members of the, I'm sure, ministers know Claudia Kennedy well. The internal party structure, you're on the CDC, as they say, you've been on the National Executive. Everyone within Fianna Fáil knows Claudia Kennedy very well. That's undeniable. The biggest potential problem you face is, are Johnny and Mary, when they go to the polling booth anywhere in Donegal from Mizzen down to Glencullen, are they going to know Claudia Kennedy and what she stands for and what she's done?
And that's the challenge. And that's why I'm here today, Donal. And that's why I will be on every door that I can possibly and humanly cover over the next couple of weeks. That's why I will be doing media, meeting people out and about. Absolutely. It will be a challenge, but that is my challenge to meet. I have a great team. I've had huge support within the party. That will be my challenge, and it's something I'm going to do to the best of my ability.
From the point of view of the party, will the constituency be divided? Will we see Pat the Cope Gallagher concentrate on the west, Charlie McConalogue concentrate in the Sean in the north, you concentrate on the Finn Valley and south of that? Will there be a strict delineation? Will there be, in this area, vote Claudia 1, Cope 2, Charlie 3, in this area vote Charlie 1, Claudia 2, Cope 3, in this area vote Cope 1, Charlie 1, Claudia 3, whatever. Has that been discussed? Are your people, Pat the Cope Gallagher's people and Charlie McConaughey's people, in discussion with senior party officials to try and get as efficient a machine going as possible? Because if Fianna Fáil is going to get 2 or 3 elected, they're going to need one hell of a campaign for the next month.
Absolutely, and those discussions have yet to take place. But what I want to focus on is on Fianna Fáil delivery, regardless of where you're living, Stranorlar or Inishowen or in Donegal Town. You know, we've seen 115 million invested from government into school buildings. We've seen 614 applications for the vacant home refurbishment grant. 60 of those have been paid out. We've had huge investment in the recent budget 2025. We've just had 600 million approved from government for the upgrading of the A5, alongside the 10T Donegal project here, vitally important. Huge amounts of money are coming into this constituency, and it's going to be my place and my role to advocate for more funding, better funding. And I think it's really important to say as well, it's been very topical this morning and I want to come on it as well. I want to stand with defective block homeowners in putting through that legislation for social housing. Obviously, I'm not in government, I'm not elected, but I want to work and advocate for them at every single level possible. That is my role, to hear the issues, to advocate for the people of Donegal, to deliver for the people of Donegal to the best of my ability with my team.
One of your challenges is that the minister that they believe is hampering what they seek is from your party.
What we need to do, for me, I have personal friends, I have colleagues who are in defective home blocks. I see the anxiety, the stress and the pain. I've been in here many, many times with Greg Hughes, advocating and fighting for defective block homeowners, and I will continue to do so. And I will say, within our party, we welcome where people will get in there, they'll fight the corner. We have dissent, we have discussions, we have arguments, and I will continue to do that for the people of Donegal.
Would you like to see transfer arrangements with Nicky Bradley and John McNulty in terms of the two parties getting back into government together again? Because based on polls and figures, it seems highly unlikely that either Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil on their own would be in a position to form and lead a government. It seems almost inevitable that the incoming government, if it's not to be a Sinn Féin-led left-leaning government, the incoming government is going to once again have to be Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael working together. With that in mind, do you believe there should be some form of transfer pact locally?
No, I believe the electorate will make up their mind. It is not my role to direct the electorate. I want the electorate to judge Fianna Fáil on our capacity and our history and what we've delivered here to the constituency. For example, we've just had a new veterinary college and scheme opening up in Letterkenny ATU to the value of 25 million. They're the type of things I want people to judge our party on. Nationally, Norma Foley has just introduced 1,600 new SNAs nationally across the board. Again, that's what I want Fianna Fáil to be judged on. Nothing to do with Fine Gael or any other candidates. In terms of women's health, we now have free IVF treatment for women from the ages of 46 to 64 under Stephen Donnelly. We have now specialised menopause clinics for women. We have specialist endometriosis clinics. They're the type of issues I want Fianna Fáil to be judged on, not on who we have a pact on. The electorate will make up their own mind. That is not my role or anybody's role to do so.
And are you confident that when they are making up their minds, they will look confidently and they will look at Claudia Kennedy and say, yes, this is someone we want in Dáil Éireann, and that they'll mark their papers accordingly?
Absolutely, I hope so. And it's very important to say that as a public servant, as a teacher, I believe in hard work and diligence and about delivery. And so I may not in the past have been on social media and saying I delivered this and I did the other. It's about hard work, delivery on the ground, making differences in people's lives, not doing the drama and hysterics and opposition to everything. It's about delivery. It's about being practical. It's about meeting people where they're at. It's about working and delivering on the ground. Hugely significant.
Claudia Kennedy, you have a hell of a busy couple of weeks ahead of you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Donal. Thank you.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Today's show is brought to you by Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow. Book your Christmas party today. Christmas lunches and dinners available throughout December in our cosy bar and bistro with live music on selected nights. Add an overnight stay for €45 per person sharing. Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow, the place to be.
Donegal Tile Centre have a mega Halloween sale now on, with huge discounts throughout the store. There's wall and floor tiles from as little as €7.95 a square yard. Vanity units from just €180. Freestanding baths reduced to €799. Also massive discounts of mirrors and accessories. So make your way to Rossview Business Park, Letterkenny, just off the Polestar roundabout, and pick up a real bargain.
We're celebrating 125 years of Opel. And with a milestone like that, what better time to explore Opel's extensive award-winning range? Plus, if you order your 251 Opel now, we'll gift you with a €500 Dunnes Stores gift card. Other than that, we've not much else to talk about. In fact, the percentage of time we're going to talk about finance offers, that would be 0%. Happy buy day to you. Find out more about our 251 offers at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details. T's and C's apply.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 32575.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
19 minutes past 11 o'clock on Tuesday. And if earlier on I said Monday, I do apologise. It's a bank holiday week, which means in my head it's Monday, but I know it's Tuesday because we've had the Garda slot and I get all confused on the Tuesday after a bank holiday. So it is Tuesday. It's the 29th of October and we're into the final 40 minutes or so of the 9 till noon show this morning. I've just got something in. My blood is absolutely boiling. I've just got a comment in. So sorry to see the wee free library at Pollen has been destroyed. That gets... Oh, sorry, I'm really ticked off with this. I mean, the idea of free libraries is such a lovely idea. You finish a book that you've enjoyed, you bring that book, you put it into this little free library, and then you take a book and you read that book, then you bring that back and you take another book, and people come and it's a way of sharing books and sharing literature and sharing a love of reading. And anything that shares a love of reading and promotes reading is absolutely vital in my book. And anything that stops that from happening is just odious. That really gets my goat, that someone would actually destroy such an important resource. I mean, it really gets me. We spoke earlier about someone being asked for their PPS number as they were signing on for dance class. Caller says, I certainly wouldn't have given my PPS number. I would have asked why it was needed. That's just my view. I think I would be in the same boat. I mean, my PPS number is something I would not be throwing around willy-nilly at all. We spoke earlier about this major energy conference coming up in Derry, of which Highland Radio is the media partner. Caller was asking, what's your opinion on wood pellets as a renewable source and why has the price more than doubled in the last number of years? Another caller is asking, how much is the Irish government paying to the wind farm operators? Sometimes up to 3 times the wholesale rate, which they're obliged to pay for whether there is demand or not. Are we paying for it, whether we use it or not? And then they have the gall to give us credits of our own taxes to pay over to energy providers. Another caller says, I get annoyed when I hear people talking about electric cars, heating systems, windmills, etc., good for the environment, etc. If we all know that if we truly want to be good for the environment, we'd need to stop mining for all minerals, never mind the oil and gas. We know the damage it does, not only to the land, but to the poor miner working in dreadful conditions. Are people prepared to give up their phones, computers and luxury items? An interesting question and a valid one. Now, I want to go to line 1 because I'm joined on line 1 by Barry. And Barry, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Donal. How are you keeping?
I'm very well indeed. And Barry, sorry to hear that you're originally from Donegal and you had come back to Donegal to attend a funeral. But you developed a problem and you just want to highlight the help you got.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I know Donegal people are probably the friendliest and people in the world, like, you know what I mean? But the car broke down in Ballyshannon. There was a tow truck sent out from Seamus's Gallery Garage in Balbuffet, which were amazing. Seamus rang me about 2 times before the tow truck even arrived to me, just to see what's okay, was anything I needed and stuff like that. But eventually, the tow truck arrived. The mechanic done a few bits and he got me back on the road. He said, "No, the problem could happen again." But I got on the road and eventually, and the problem did happen again. So we ended up going back to Letterkenny. The get the Enterprise to get a hire car. Now, these people are off all weekend for a long weekend, as you know, and these people were amazing in Enterprise. But it ended up that I couldn't get the car in Enterprise that night, so I had to book into a hotel in Letterkenny, which was Silver Tassie, and a big thanks there to Orla and the staff in the Silver Tassie. They were amazing. We were arrived late at night. The restaurant was closed, I would say, but we still got a meal and stuff like that. And the way they looked after us in the Tassie was amazing as well. But 11 o'clock at night, I got a phone call from the Enterprise to say the car will be available the next morning. Like, that's over the boat board, like, if you know what I mean, 11 o'clock at night for somebody from Enterprise to ring. And they also rang the next morning to say we were okay for a lift back into Enterprise to collect the car. But in the meantime, Seamus Gallagher in Balbafay, a man I never met before in my life, he rang me about 11:30 to see how we were and stuff like that. And he couldn't be more helpful. He couldn't have done any more for me, Seamus Gallagher, and actually rang me on Sunday morning as well to see we'll be okay and stuff like that. Just amazing, the people in Donegal.
Yeah, well, look, it's wonderful to hear this because, I mean, we know that these acts of care and kindness take place on a regular basis, and sometimes a program like this, there's a risk you get very cynical. There's a risk that we just highlight what's wrong and what's wrong and what's wrong and what's wrong all the time, and it's really important sometimes to just take a step back and say, look, there's an awful lot of good out there, there's an awful lot of great things happening, and it's wonderful to hear from you, Barry, that this is very much alive and well, and that spirit of friendship and support and community in Donegal is very much alive and well.
Oh yeah, there's enough negativity going around the place now at the minute, to be one thing and another, and people should be thanked for their gratitude and stuff that they do. Out of hours on a bank holiday weekend, it was amazing. Like, so just like to say thanks to the Orla and the Silver Tassie, Seamus and Gallagher's car sales there in Balbafay, and of course Enterprise for what the work they've done to get me back on the road and get me home safe.
Yeah. I have to ask you, Barry, and forgive me for this. Is there a trace of Wexford in your accent?
No, I'm living in Athlone at the minute.
I thought I was getting a hint of Wexford for some reason there.
No,
there's still a bit of there is still a bit of Donegal there. There is still a bit of Donegal in there as well. You can still hear that bit of Donegal, yeah.
But over 30 years in Athlone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Interesting.
Always be a Donegal, man.
Oh yeah, I absolutely understand that. And listen, Barry, it's great to hear what you've been saying there. And again, sympathies to you and to the bereaved. I know you're up for a funeral, which obviously no one wishes to be travelling home for a funeral. But it's great that what was a problem and potentially could have been a really serious problem was eased by the support you got from the people around you, and it's great to hear that.
Amazing. Yeah, it gets good stories out there instead of negative stories. The whole thing.
And Barry, listen, thanks very much indeed for contacting us, and it's great to hear. Thank you.
No bother. Thanks very much.
Barry, you take care of yourself. Bye bye.
Bye.
Now, a couple of your comments. A caller is asking, and funny, this is a question I was actually researching myself at home this morning before coming to work. Good morning. Where in Derry can you park to see the fireworks? I happen to be going into Derry on Thursday night. Now, I'm actually going because I'm going to a gig in the Guildhall. The Crash Test Dummies are playing in the Guildhall at 9 on Thursday night. And I'm of all the nights to put a gig on in the middle of the city, you put it on the night of the fireworks. So I was looking it up. Probably the best place to park is over just at Fort George. If you come into Derry via Springtown and Pennyburn, and you come to the roundabout there at Fort George, is it Catalyst is the big building in front of you, and then you turn right heading towards Sainsbury's. There's a huge patch of waste ground there at Fort George, and I know they're running a car park there. You will literally fit thousands of cars in that car park. That's at Fort George. As I say, just to the right of that Catalyst building. If you were heading in towards Sainsbury's, it's between Catalyst and Sainsbury's there at Fort George in Derry. I know the Foyle Street car park under Craigavon Bridge, that is closed because that's usually my car park of choice. Now, I do know that the Foyle side, at least one of the two Foyle side car parks, now open 24 hours. And that is an option that's there as well. I'm presuming they'll be open, and they're paid car parks, of course. I can't remember. I was in for the Marine Festival and I used the Fort George car park, and it's I can't recall if there was a charge. I don't think there was, actually. I think it was free, but I don't recall there being a charge on it in the past. That doesn't mean there won't be a charge on it on Thursday night. But I would say your best bet, probably, particularly if you're coming in from the Inishowen direction, your best bet probably is that large car park at Fort George. I know the Foyle Street car park under Craigavon Bridge, as I say, is closed. Foyle side might be an option. Must look into that one as well. But wherever you're going, it's going to be difficult getting into and parking in Derry on Thursday night. Of that, we can be quite sure. Now, we are going to change tack slightly because the Oireachtas essay competition is back. The theme of this year's competition is Parliamentary Politics Liberates. And we're joined on line 3 by Senator Ronan Mullen, who is one of those organising this competition. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for bringing me on the show.
It's our pleasure. The Oireachtas essay competition, it's an important one, Senator Mullen, and has been. It's to pay tribute to the forthcoming 250th anniversary of the birth of the Liberator, Daniel O'Connell. And he was such a parliamentarian and an advocate of the importance of parliamentary politics and democracy that this theme that ties in his nickname as the Liberator as well, of course, is a very fitting one for this year.
That's right. This is the third year of the competition, and it is all about encouraging young people, our future leaders, to take an interest in our democracy and to figure out where is their place in the political system. Obviously, some people would like to run for office. Some people would be terrified at the prospect, but politics is about everybody's participation, whether you're canvassing for somebody or a party whose ideas you like or support, or politics is the business of making decisions at whatever level, in your residents association, trade union or whatever. But as the Ceann Comhairle is fond of saying, we need more people interested in politics, and we need people more interested in politics if we're going to get good decision making. And you look around you in the world today, there's lots of challenges. Sometimes people lose faith in politicians and politics, but at least in our country, and it's not everywhere in the world, tragically, we get to decide who governs our society and for how long, and to change our government if we don't like what they're doing. So that was the idea when we came up with the Oireachtas essay competition 3 years ago, to stimulate that interest in the democratic process. It's aimed, we started with 5th years and 6th years, but this year for the first time we're reaching out to TY and 5th and 6th year at senior cycle, or indeed A or AS level for those doing A levels. This is a 32 county competition, and it's bilingual as well. And as you rightly say, this year we chose our theme from the inspiration of Daniel O'Connell, whose example of non-violent agitation for human dignity through his struggle for Catholic emancipation, but of course later in the repeal movement. And of course he was an internationally recognised and honoured figure for his outright opposition to slavery at a time when other people accepted slavery, So O'Connell was really a brilliant, internationally admired statesman who worked really to lift an oppressed people up from their knees.
And as the Ceann Comhairle pointed out at the launch of the event, Daniel O'Connell wasn't perfect. He didn't succeed in everything he went out to achieve. He had his issues, he had his problems, but he lit a flame, the Ceann Comhairle says, that has never gone out. And maybe that's the most important thing, that flame of parliamentary democracy and commitment to it. You don't get everything you want. You're not going to succeed at getting everything you want, but you can make a huge difference.
You can, exactly, because you just believe in the dignity of people. And of course, O'Connell was an interesting figure because he himself, he was the top lawyer in the country at the time, but he wasn't allowed to become a senior counsellor, a King's Counsel, because he was Catholic at that time. So he himself, I suppose, rankled at the lack of civil rights for what were the great majority of the Irish population. So it hit him personally, although he was a relatively privileged member of society and that they were, I suppose, minor aristocracy. But he really devoted his whole life, and he turned down offers, that the British government would have made to make him the equivalent of a minister today, or to give him some kind of senior appointment in the apparatus of state. But he knew that would compromise him, so he stayed true to his agitation for people, and really, gave his whole life to it. So, like, not everybody is called to be a Daniel O'Connell, of course, and we all God's creatures have a place in the choir, as the Count Corla said. But what is important is that everybody thinks about why democracy matters. And I would be very grateful if there are senior cycle students listening to you, or indeed their parents or their teachers, to spread the word to those students and encourage them to register for this competition. There are €6,000 in prize money. PTSB have come along as the main sponsor for the next 3 years, and CJ Fallon are also sponsors, and we're very grateful to them. But the important thing is that students before the 8th of November would go on to the Oireachtas Essay website, and that's oireachtasessay.ie, or if they're entering off Gaeilge, ashta.oireachtas.ie. So that website, www.oireachtasessay.ie, gives all the information. The important thing is people register by the 8th of November. We then email them a code number once they register, and that code number then allows them to upload their essay by the deadline of the 22nd of November. So we're able to assess the essays anonymously, so to speak, so it's scrupulously fair. And of course, the essay doesn't have to be about Daniel O'Connell. That's a jump-off point. But, you know, somebody might want to write a short story inspired by the essay title, Parliamentary Politics Liberates, or in Irish, An Saoirse agus an Pholaitiúch Parlamentach. Whatever people do, we will assess the essay on its merits. It's a kind of a Leaving Cert English style essay for those who are writing in English. And as I said, there's prize money to be won as well. So we'd be really grateful. And we've been delighted to have winners from Donegal in Milford most recently in the competition. We had a highly commended there that came to Leinster House this year. I've also presented prizes in the competition in Derry. So we're delighted at the 32 county nature of the competition as well.
It'll be interesting because if the timing that everyone assumes is going to be with regards to the election, if that comes to pass, the closing date will be a few days after the Dáil dissolves, and the closing date for submission of essays will be a few days before a general election. So this whole process will be taking place during a general election campaign, and it'll be very interesting to see if that actually seeps into the writing and if that seeps into the submissions that you receive.
Absolutely, and but whether there's an election or not, the competition will continue, and the essays will be scrutinised, and there will be an awards ceremony. In generally, it's the first week in March when the Count Corla presents the awards. So whether it's our current Count Corla, Sean O'Farrell, who's been a fantastic support of the competition, or a successor of his who will be presenting the national and regional awards in the spring, time will tell. But just to encourage people it's fun to enter these competitions. Even by entering it and registering, there's a lot of information on the website that's actually very useful about our democracy and the value of it. So we're grateful to all of those teachers and school principals and deputies who've taken an interest in the competition, and parents as well, and the students themselves, and spreading the word to each other about it. We had an increased number of entries last year. We were very pleased with that, and hopefully it will grow even more this year.
And of course, it doesn't need to be repeated that the participants in this competition are the voters and potentially the parliamentarians of tomorrow.
That's correct, and you know, you see that maturity in the essays that you get too, and in fact one of the quite a diverse range of experiences feed into the essays. For example, some students who have entered the competition, whose maybe parents were new to the country, you know, they wrote about their experience of, you know, of their family's experience of living in countries maybe where democracy wasn't strong or not there at all, or they reflected on the contribution of people like Nelson Mandela, or last year, because it was the 25th anniversary of the peace process and the Good Friday Agreement, you know, there was a great emphasis, of course, on the amazing political contribution of people like John Hume and David Trimble as well, who through the political process, you know, contributed to peacemaking in our country. And that's what's at the core of this. It's Parliament and the work of, if you're in the south, in the Oireachtas, or if you're in the north, the Northern Assembly, or indeed the British Parliament, or any Parliament worldwide. But that business of elected representatives working, when they do it well, it leads to good decisions for the common good. the solving of problems. And sadly, when they do it badly, it contributes to the world's problems. So it is about trying to raise people's awareness of how politics, when done right and used for the good, is really one of the highest forms of service to humanity.
And as you said, when the panel of experts is judging the various essays, they will be judging a code number. They won't know where the author is from. They won't know the ethnicity or the location or the geographical home of the author. All they will know is that the author is A7476350 or whatever the code happens to be.
Right.
So it's going to be very
Exactly.
scrupulous in terms of the judging.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time and effort and resources making sure we had a good system for running this when we started, and it's a very good website, and we have various other checks as well, just to make sure. And I'm delighted that we've had a great spread of schools and geography actually in our winners over the last couple of years. You know, different types of schools, mixed schools, single-sex schools. There's a great mixture, and that's a good sign that lots of different types of schools from different backgrounds are taking an interest in the competition. We bring the national and regional winners to Leinster House for the prize giving, the award ceremony with their parents and teachers, and that's always a very special occasion. But actually, we also give cash prizes and visit and present awards to those students whose essays are highly commended, and we go to their schools. And that's actually a very special occasion as well, because the students are honoured by their peers and in the presence of their class. We generally give a presentation on why the competition is there and how our democracy works and where the Dáil, in my case, since it's myself that would be visiting, in a lot of cases it would be the Seanad, and where it fits into the system. And that leads to some great conversations as well. And invariably you meet students who are starting to take an interest in politics, and as you say, particularly at this time now with an election in the air, there'll be the possibility of a great focus for classroom discussions as well.
Senator Ronan Mullen, the convener of the Oireachtas Essay Competition, thank you very much indeed. So just remind us, Parliamentary Politics Liberates is the theme. It ties in with the 250th anniversary of Daniel O'Connell's birth. Just remind us finally of the website and the registration deadlines.
Thank you. Website www.oireachtasessay.ie, all one word, or in Irish, ashtaonoireachtas.ie, and you register by the 8th of November. You put your details up on that website where it says to register. You nominate your teacher point of contact. That's the teacher in your school who we contact if it looks like you're a winner. And once you register by the 8th of November, we'll email you a code number, and that's what you use then to upload your essay by the 22nd of November, and hopefully we'll have more winners from the Northwest this year. I've no doubt of it.
Senator Ronan Mullen, thank you very much indeed. Just a few comments before we go for a break. Earlier we spoke to Minister Alan Dillon. A caller asks, do illness benefit recipients receive the double payment? Yes, those on the benefit for more than 12 months will receive it. Earlier in the programme we spoke to Councillor Michael McClafferty with regards to Japanese knotweed. Caller says, I just listened to the councillor stating the councillor sprays knotweed along roadsides and wants access to private lands to treat the invasive weed. The only spray that kills Japanese knotweed is a chemical known as glyphosate. This chemical is highly carcinogenic, as proven in the major legal action a few years ago in the US against the Roundup brand. I was responsible for providing Councillor Albert Doherty with a motion to adopt the pollinator plan across all public lands in Donegal, which bans the spraying of glyphosate in public lands. It was unanimously accepted, yet this councillor has stated that this highly dangerous... Now, Councillor McClafferty didn't say that any particular chemical was being sprayed anywhere. He did not name any chemical, and I cannot say whether or not this is what's being used by the council in terms of its treatment. Caller says now look, I'm sorry, but I think there's perhaps presumptions being made here that I certainly cannot stand over. I certainly I'm not aware of what chemicals are being used by the council, and certainly to my memory, Councillor McClafferty didn't name any chemicals there, but Councillor, just a caller there concerned. With regards to Claudia Kennedy running for Fianna Fáil, caller says that lady may be lovely, however, as far as I know, she received around the 300 mark in the local election. We all know it's based on having a woman on the ticket. As someone who previously supported Fianna Fáil, I say that sadly the party has lost its way. We're still trying to give away our neutrality and joining an EU army independent that people agree with is the only way from now on. As a woman who is perimenopausal, where are the specialist menopause clinics in Donegal? I'd like to avail of this service, please. Another caller says, you should be picked because you're the best person for the job, not because you're a woman. Well, Claudia Kennedy will argue that she potentially is the best person for the job. It's the 9 till noon show. We'll be speaking about road safety in just a few moments, but before we do so, we are going to take a short break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow. Book your Christmas party today. Christmas lunches and dinners available throughout December in our cosy bar and bistro with live music on selected nights. Add an overnight stay for €45 per person sharing. Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow, the place to be.
The Letterkenny Halloween Fest is on Thursday 31st with spectacular fun for all the family. Dress up for the CDP's Fancy Dress competition and get on the trick-or-treat trail between 1 and 3. There's storytelling, a Halloween Fest parade down Main Street and so much more. All afternoon from 12:30 this Thursday at the Letterkenny Halloween Fest. You dare not miss it. For more info, see Shop LK on Facebook.
Business in Ireland is rapidly evolving. Employees and employers can future-proof with Skills to Advance micro-qualifications. At little or no cost, these are short, targeted courses in key areas like sustainability, digital business skills, market development and more. Stay ahead in your industry by contacting your local education and training board or visit skillstoadvance.ie. With Skills to Advance micro-qualifications, your next big step is micro. Supported by the Sulla Skills to Advance initiative in the Government of Ireland.
Experience total relaxation in the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel Bundoran, recently awarded Best Hotel Spa Getaway at the RSVP Spa Awards. Enjoy luxury spa baths, revitalising facials, rejuvenating massages, pampering body treatments, outdoor hot tub and tranquil Japanese garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the Spa at Orchids transport you to another world. See holyroodhotel.com.
Irwin Expert Electrical Christmas Club is now open, so why not get ahead of the game and save yourself some stress this holiday season? Secure the most wanted gifts from iPads, phones, TVs, gaming monitors, smartwatches and Dyson and Shark hair care with just a small deposit and then pay at your own pace. Don't wait until last minute. Call in and let us help make Christmas a breeze at Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Today's show is brought to you by Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow. Book your Christmas party today. Christmas lunches and dinners available throughout December in our cosy bar and bistro with live music on selected nights. Add an overnight stay for €45 per person sharing. Sweeney's Hotel Dunlow, the place to be.
OMG girl, you look unreal. Where's your dress from?
Oh, thank you. I actually borrowed it from my friends.
Stop. I love sharing clothes.
We swap all the time. No need to buy new.
Exactly. You look amazing.
Oh, thanks a mil. Enjoy your night.
You too.
Buy less, rewear, share, because that's what's trending right now. Find out more about circular fashion at reversethetrend.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more. Cozy up at home with our finest meal deal. A main, 2 sides and a sauce for only €15. Like Tesco finest Irish corn-fed whole chicken 1.2 kg, finest rainbow root vegetables and finest potato gratin. Then cover it all with a pour of finest poultry gravy. Get more from your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. Shop in-store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Subject to availability. Prices vary in express stores.
Ladies, are you seeking expert gynecology care? At Greenview Medical Centre in Letterkenny, we're here to help. Whether it's advanced fertility treatments, specialised pelvic floor care or a routine gynecology examination, our expert team offers the care you need in a comfortable setting, all without the hassle of a GP referral. Book your appointment easily online at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie. Greenview Medical Centre, Riverside Retail Park, Letterkenny, a new health horizon.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. If you haven't started using the McElhinney's Layaway Club, it's not too late. Spread the cost of Christmas with designer gifts for the whole family. Available by phone or in store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
Mostly dry overnight with some clear spells, especially in the southeast. Some rain and drizzle as well. Lowest temperatures tonight 9 to 11. Before that, of course, expect a largely dry day. Any mist and fog patches should be cleared by now. Day will stay dry with limited bright spells. Patchy rain moving in through the late afternoon. Top temperatures today 13 to 15 degrees Celsius. As we said, 9 to 11 tonight, staying mostly dry. Tomorrow again largely dry. Cloudy though, with a little light rain and drizzle. Top temperatures on Wednesday 14 to 17 in light southwesterly or variable breezes. Now, we're joined on the line by David Martin, who's Communications Officer with the Road Safety Authority. And David has some important and disturbing news. If you're scheduled to have a driver test in Letterkenny this week, David, serious problems on the ground at the moment.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to apologise. We've had to make cancellations today. We've had an illness. Our driver tester is off sick today, so we've had to cancel today's tests. We did have, there are two other testers who are scheduled to be off today. So it really is just one person. So it's a small number of people directly affected today. I'm not sure whether they will take place tomorrow. What I would say is that people who've had to, who've had their tests cancelled, they will be put on the priority list and they should receive a fresh invitation this week for a new test. But it is most important thing for me to say really is I'd like to apologise to those directly affected by this.
So at the moment, if someone has a test booked for Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, at this point in time, we don't know how they stand.
We don't
Will they
know.
have their test?
No, I just can't answer that. I just checked with the Letterkenny office there, and look, we can keep our fingers crossed, but at this stage it's impossible for me to say.
David, obviously the issue of driver tester numbers in Donegal in particular and Letterkenny specifically has been a topic of debate and discussion up here for a while. Joined on the line by Councillor Jerry McMonigal. He's mayor of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District and a member of Donegal County Council. Jerry, you've been discussing this issue over the past while. This isn't what you want to hear.
Understand that people can be sick, of course, but it's not the fact that one person's sick. It's the small number of testers we have in Donegal, and that currently we have over 9,500 people who are driving on a learner permit, and there's 1,600 of those waiting for a driving test, and they've been waiting for anything from 18 to 36 weeks, depending on where you live. The fact that an Ashown, which is the size of life, doesn't have a driving tester, says a lot. We have 4 testers for the whole of Donegal, and we know they can't be working every single day, that they have to have time off. And then, like today, there's a tester has went down sick. But here we are again. It's going to extend the waiting times, and it's going to cost those who are waiting for their driving tests a lot more money. And this just isn't good enough. We're living in a very rural county, as you know. A lot of people are dependent on their cars, and while our public bus service is improving, it still needs to go a long way before it can meet all the demands for people in the county. So the car, unfortunately, is the only way we can get about. And to be honest, well, I understand someone can be sick, but it's a fact that we have only got 4 testers for the whole of Donegal, and this is just, it's not good enough. I understand the RSA are in the process of recruiting further testers, but for us in Donegal, we'd like to know how many we will get, and will it improve the service, and will it get people who are currently on driver permits for the length of time that they are, will it get more competent and accomplished drivers on the road? And that's our concern. We can't keep waiting the length of time we're waiting, Donal.
Okay, well, stay with us, Councillor McMonigal. I'm going to go back to David. David, you've heard what Councillor McMonigal has articulated there. Number one, I mean, just to tease through some of the issues he's asked. I mean, we know that there aren't enough testers in Donegal at present. What is the situation with regards to recruitment and potential deployment?
Well, there's not enough testers per se across the country. So we were really relieved. We've been lobbying to increase the number of permanent testers for the last year or so, and the government agreed. We got the sign off on that probably about 6 to 8 weeks ago now. So the number of testers will increase by 50%. We're going to recruit at least 70 over the coming months. That's increasing the number of overall testers by 50%, which is going to make a huge difference. Obviously, it takes some time to get these people recruited and get them trained up, and it's done on a schedule, on a phased way, because otherwise it'd be very disruptive to those tests already scheduled. So just bear with it; it'll take a little time, but there will, in the medium to long term, it'll have a very significant impact. The other thing I would say, just in terms of today, that there are 8 candidates who are directly affected today, and they have been informed, and they will be rescheduled up very soon over the coming days.
Yeah. In terms of that process to bring in more testers, I mean, from what we understand, from what Councillor McMonigal and others have been saying, we would require more than, I mean, if you say that there's been a 50% increase, if there are 4 testers covering Donegal at present, as we understand it, that would suggest maybe 6 may come to Donegal, but I mean, it's 2 new ones with 6 in total. The argument's going to be it needs even more. Is this the start of a process where we'll see even more recruited in the coming months and into next year, or is this just going to be where we stand from now on, if that makes sense?
No, it's like we're at the start of this process. We've had a number of open days, and we've been really encouraged. There's a huge amount of interest amongst candidates wanting to become testers. So we didn't quite know what the response would be, but it's very, very strong. So we're confident that we'll be able to fill those posts. Where they'll be allocated hasn't yet been fully determined. So we'll see how that plays out over the coming weeks and months as we get more and more testers on board.
Obviously, from the point of view of a county like Donegal, I don't need to tell you, you've heard this argument several times, I'm sure, from people lobbying from the county. There is no rail network. Public transport is sporadic at best, and in most cases, if people are on schedules to try and get to work or to try and get to college, the optimal and in many cases only way to get to work or college is to drive. There are young people awaiting tests who are on provisional licences. At present, they can't drive on those provisional licences. Most people obviously want to work within the law, and they're being hampered in terms of getting to work, hampered in terms of getting to college. So passing the test and having a tester to actually facilitate that and allow that to happen is absolutely crucial. Is that going to be taken into account when these decisions are being made?
Well, it's absolutely, we'd acknowledge that, that people need cars, it particularly in the rural parts of the country, and particularly up in Donegal as well, more so than in big urban centres. I'm based in Cork City here, so not the same requirement, and it will be the same in Dublin and Limerick. How the new testers will be allocated, look, it's just, I can't say that at this stage. We have to go through the whole recruitment process. We have to see where the people are coming from. So it will be made clear. And just bear with us. It'll be happening over the coming weeks and months, and we'll keep in touch with you and let you know how things are developing.
David Martin, Communications Officer with the Road Safety Authority, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you.
David, thank you. Okay, Councillor Jerry, I'm going to go back to you. In terms of what David's just said there, have you taken any solace from what he said, or is this more of the same?
I think it's more of the same. I would like to have heard from David that yes, they're going to concentrate and give us once a bit of favouritism, clearly for the reasons outlined and indeed yourself. But look, there's 1,650 people who are waiting for a driving test. There's 580 of them were scheduled to say the driving test, and that's figures last month. And the fact that David was sort of making it a little less than what it really the effect that really that only 8 are affected today, but that's 8 out of 581 people who are scheduled to take a test. I mean, even if we get 2 extra testers, as you were calculating, it would take an awful long time to get through all of those, and then we never seem to take into account that the pass rate is somewhere between 60 and 65% here in the county. So that means at least 40% of those taking their test will have to resit it. And all of that added expense is that added anxiety, and then the waiting list just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what we need, and more so in this county probably than anywhere else, is for people to be able to drive competent drivers on our roads. They make them safer, and that's what the driving test is all about, is to ensure that anybody who gets on the road in a car knows how to handle that car, can drive by the rules of the road. And unfortunately, we have 9,500 people who are still on learner permits who haven't got that competency test yet, and that's worrying, to say the least. So, look, all I can hope for, and we'll continue to lobby for, is that we will get a significant slice of those new testers, and that we would start being in receipt of them during the first phase of the new testers that are being allocated. But unfortunately, that'll not be till next March or April.
Councillor Jerry McMonagle, thank you very much indeed, Mayor there of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. And that's it for the 9 till noon show for this morning. Thank you to you for listening. Thanks to all our contributors. Thank you to Shannon, and especially to Caroline, who as always guided me through the process. Greg's back tomorrow. John's up next around the northwest. For myself, Donal Kavanagh, have a very good day.
Today's show is brought to you by